concerned. That evacuation order is still in. They don't want people going to that area to take the videos and photos to post online. This is just not the time for that. They're giving us that look so you can see it for yourself. We have shared this video for you on our Twitter page. Just look for @6News. We have all of that video footage for you, and really a lot of video that we're getting from that area we have shared for you on social media as well. So feel free to go and check there.
Yeah, but really those TDOT's doing some amazing work. Here's the earlier video that we had from TDOT. Again, one of the roads just not too far from Ober, kind of on the mountain there. Now, we need to reiterate, Ober is fine.
Yeah, overall it is
Gatlinburg
fine.
appears to be in good shape, but some areas, though, not as fortunate. I'm going to ask Jeff, our producer, give me the road again here, Jeff, we're looking at. Ski Mountain Road. Thank you, sir. This is Ski Mountain Road, and you can see a lot of the damage there. Now, what crews were doing, we're clearing the roadways, getting some of the trees, some of that debris off the roads so first responders can get up the mountain. But you can see right there, you got a tree leaning on those power lines, and that was a big problem yesterday, Tier. So those gusts of wind coming through, knocking those trees down. Everything was already dry. All it needed was a spark.
That's right.
And then you see what happens.
And then to see just on the side of the road there, the ground, the mulch, the debris, just still smoldering. You can see it still just rising there. And to see what's left of a lot of these businesses, you know, it just goes without saying, this is a huge hit to the East Tennessee area. This is a huge hit to our economic center. I mean, when you think of East Tennessee, you think of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and you know, come stay in a cabin and then go to Dollywood.
A lot of people come to Sevier County, that is for sure. Well, Ober Gatlinburg, we mentioned, not far from where you're looking here, Ober Gatlinburg, it is closed right now because of the situation in the mountains. However, we did get this video in earlier this morning, and this is very encouraging as you take a look here. This is right there on top of the mountain up in Ober Gatlinburg. You know, late last night and early this morning, TEMA had some reports there was quite a bit of damage there.
Right.
Not the case, as you can see through this video. The ski resort putting this out just a little after sunrise this morning, saying the property is okay. A lot of those buildings made with steel, tin.
Oh yeah.
So they didn't burn, and it didn't look like really the fire even threatened this area, to be honest with you. Even the fire marshal saying the drive up there directly up to the gate, everything looked good in that specific spot. So again, the wildlife is in good shape there as well. So some good news for those of you that like to visit Ober Gatlinburg. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. I
tell you what, when that news first came out and they said that Ober was destroyed, I mean,
it took your breath away.
A lot of folks feeling an emotional connection. That's, you know, that's winter time, taking the family up there to have a good time, go tubing.
Well, they just opened the tubes, for the tubing runs.
I'm glad they're okay.
Yeah, so some good news there. But nice to see that video coming out earlier.
At this time, we want to check in now with Don Dare. He's been with officials. While we wait for him to get set up, we do want to remind you, if you have not, download our app. You can set it up to get push alerts, you know, if you need to go to work or you have other things to do today. This will keep you connected so that you don't have to keep checking in. It will let you know any necessary information throughout your day. Also, go to our social media accounts. We're @6News on Twitter. We're WATE6 on your site on Facebook. We're on Snapchat. We're on Instagram. All of those things. So just keep you connected with the visuals to let you know how our area is doing right now.
And of course, we always like to stream as well, our live broadcast. So if you do have to leave and you maybe have to head back to work or somewhere, you can take this with you.
Put it on your tablet. That's right.
Exactly what is going on. And we should know, we also have links where people can find, you know, Facebook and the Red Cross as well. People saying, hey, I'm okay, or I'm here. A lot of people, families still trying to find one another, or maybe you have family out of town. You want to let them know that you're okay.
Remember, we had that dad. We had that dad on earlier this morning saying he was still looking for his wife and 2 kids. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. I don't have any of the notes here.
We're still working to get you an update on them. He had gone back to the home. The family was not there.
Right.
Which we're hoping is good news. He had some friends come in now, and they're still trying to locate his wife and daughters. But yeah, we do need to get
hopefully
you an update
they're at a shelter or something.
Yeah, let's hope so. So again, we're going to continue to kind of keep you up to date throughout the day here as this continues to work. Kristen Farley right now with a crew, with a camera crew, kind of going up some of those roads to getting us a good look. We're looking forward to hearing and seeing what she brings back from this. They went in, I don't know, probably about an hour ago, I think, is when they got the green light to go inside the evacuation area.
And be patient. We're still getting a lot of folks asking us about specific roads. At this time, we just can't give you that because, you know, those first responders have to look out for their safety too, and at this time they can't risk necessarily trying to, you know, survey everything if it's in harm's way at this point.
Right, exactly. We want to check in now with Don Dare. He's got some more information for us. He's in Sevier County right now. Don?
Well, Bo and Tirsa, we're at the Rocky Top Sports Complex. It's about 100 yards behind us. It is the center of the Red Cross shelter, where hundreds of people were evacuated to last night as they were asked to leave Gatlinburg yesterday afternoon. One of those people is Nell Anderson. She is disabled. She lives on Bishop Lane, and she talked to us about how the flames surrounded her home. We first interviewed her daughter, Patty Anderson. Let's listen to it. I'm sorry, apparently we don't have that sound bite, but I have an interview right over here with Tim Phelps, and Tim is with the Division of Forestry, and Tim, your crew has been very busy the last few days. Tell us what's going on today as far as the fires are surrounding Gatlinburg.
Sure. Yeah, our division's been fairly active for about the past month and a half, really since October 8th. You know, we started experiencing heavier volume than normal wildfire activity. Starting down in Chattanooga, working its way really all across the Cumberland Plateau in eastern Tennessee. To cap it with something like this is horrific and devastating, to say the least. We were very anxious for this rain to get here that came through last night. We were cautious, though, about the wind. We were expecting that. We weren't expecting 80 miles per hour, so it was devastating. And
the 80-mile-an-hour wind that continued for quite a while is what really spread the flames?
Absolutely, yes. You know, our prime objective with any wildfire is to contain it. By that I mean wrapping a line around it. Maybe it's roads, maybe it's streams, maybe it's using a dozer to dig a line. When we contain it, we feel pretty comfortable that we can manage it within that containment zone. When you've got winds of excess of 50 miles an hour, having embers blow around everywhere, you're constantly playing catch up to that fire. Of course, it was a firestorm, and it moved from the park into the city. It was very unfortunate.
Is it contained now, the firestorm? Has it been contained?
We are up assessing it right now. We've got a helicopter up in the air, a Lakota helicopter with the Air National Guard that is doing some thermal imagery of it so we can detect hot spots. With any smaller wildfire, we go after and look up for the head of that fire and try to pinch it off right there. This thing spread in so many directions, the head is probably quite extensive. So the thermal imaging will help us identify where the hot spots are. We think, though, with the rain, significant rain, a lot of that head has been kind of cut off. But what we do still have is a lot of snags, a lot of standing trees that are burning. Right. We call those 1,000-hour fuels because they're literally burned for 1,000 hours. Yep. So as winds kick up this afternoon, we got to be very cognizant of the more embers flying away.
Any idea how many acres were burned and how many folks from the Division of Forestry are here?
We have quite a few crew here right now, 60 or 70 or so hand crews. Many of them are out-of-state resources that we were honestly hoping to send home later this weekend with all this rain. Looks like we'll probably extend them for a little while longer. We're probably going to be a mop-up stage with this fire. We have no idea of the size that it grew to overnight. Again, with that thermal imaging and some time. Right now we're going in and really fortifying the protection of structures. Okay. If there is some kick up this afternoon with wind, we want to make sure that there's no more homes lost, no more structures lost. So structure protection, getting rid of leaves, getting rid of twigs, blowing it off the roofs, that's our prime goal today. We'll assess the fire and continue to fight it.
And you will probably be here for a few more days.
I have a feeling we will be, yes.
Tim Phelps from the Division of Forestry, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. And as we told you earlier, we had talked with Nell Anderson. She was on Bishop Lane in downtown Gatlinburg when the flames were licking around her home. We first talked with her daughter, Patty.
Middle of Gatlinburg, and the fires were all around their house, but their house is still standing.
And what a relief that is.
Yes, they're going to be okay. And I'm going to take my mom home with me until they can go home. And I've got people trying to find me a wheelchair and stuff she can use at my house because we can't go get hers.
And you've worried about her for how many hours now?
Many, many hours. I didn't get a phone call from them because they couldn't get through till about 11 o'clock, 11:30 last night. And then I finally heard my dad's voice. Oh, God, what a blessing.
And your mama's name is what?
Georgia Nell Anderson, and my dad works for Pi Beta Phi.
Mrs. Anderson, can I talk to you for a moment?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right now. but God was with me, so I didn't have nothing to worry about. So our home is still there, they said, and the fire was going around it. See what God can do.
And you were on your knees.
I couldn't get on my knees. I don't have no use of my lower part.
But you were figuratively on your knees.
Yes, I was. I was thanking him all the way up here and hoping that everyone that I'd seen that fire, I was just hoping they would get out and be okay.
And thank goodness that you're okay.
Well, thank you, and yous too. And we appreciate everything you helped us with. And God bless you for it all.
Well, Nell's story is like many others that we heard here today at the sports complex as we interviewed folks who ran from Gatlinburg yesterday afternoon. While Nell's house is okay, we understand that Westgate Resorts, the huge Westgate Resorts, there has been a lot of fire damage there. We talked with some salespeople earlier, and we'll have those interviews for you later today. Reporting live in downtown Gatlinburg, back to you, Bo and Tirsa.
Wow. All right, thank you, Don. Yeah, wow, some powerful stuff. And it was interesting listening to Jim Phelps there talk about, you know, from the forestry division,
right.
What they're doing right now to kind of get a better idea of where they are in fighting this fire.
The thermal imaging that imaging that they will be doing to not only look for more fires, but to check for people who may still be in structures. Right. I mean, look how far we've come with technology that's even a possibility in a situation like this. You know, to hear the family that Don was speaking with, to hear that senior woman that was speaking, you know, I can't imagine not only fleeing, but having to take care of people either with special needs, the elderly, the disabled. It's a lot to get out safely and in a quick manner.
And that was the key. It did happen so quick. And and if you think about it, I think we had reports of about 12 injured folks that had to be taken out of Gatlinburg.
Many critical.
And there were 3 that were flown to Vanderbilt. At the same time, while we feel for them and we pray for them, we hope they're going to be okay. Kind of surprised that number as quickly as this happened.
Looking at how big this is, there is
and again, no fatalities, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that number stays at 0 as well. All right, you mentioned earlier Dolly had released a statement, Dolly Parton.
There were so many concerns about Dollywood and all of her different properties here, and of course, you know, this is her hometown. It's not just a business for her. This is home. She released a statement after the terrible fires took over the area. She says, after these terrible, this is on the Dreammore Resort and the wildfires in the Smoky Mountains, Dolly, born and raised in the Great Smoky Mountains, saying, quote, "I have been watching the terrible fires in the Great Smoky Mountains, and I am heartbroken. I am praying for all the families affected by the fire and the firefighters who are working so hard to keep everyone safe. It is a blessing that my Dollywood theme park, the Dreammore Resort, and so many businesses in Pigeon Forge have been spared." And that really speaks to also a bigger picture. You know, for a lot of folks, even if they lost their home, to have a job to go to rebuild and to buy the things you need, that is still hugely important. So an employer like Dollywood,
3,500 employees.
It's a lot of folks who still get an income, you know, once they're able to get things back to normal and have people there.
And we did talk with Pete Owens just a short time ago, and yes, he had confirmed for us that the Dollywood appeared to be okay, Dreammore Resort, but the Dollywood cabins,
there were a few,
that's a different situation. I still have some assessment to do there, but it looks like there may have been some damage with some of those cabins. And those cabins are really spread across the area.
That's right, Dollywood Smoky Mountain cabins. So.
All right, wind is going to be a big issue as we get on into the later hours of the afternoon and into the evening.
That's right. We want to send these over to Ken. Ken, you know, a lot of folks online have been, you know, saying, hey, we're just praying for more rain. We need more rain. Can you just kind of talk about how we do need rain, but there are still just some other things along with this that just don't make it an ideal situation?
Exactly right. We've got sunshine coming out across most of the area now, and it's dry. Just checked on this. This is actually a house fire in Campbell County. Got a report from that earlier, so that's where we're seeing the smoke here at the bottom of the screen. These are the Finger Lakes of Norris Lake continuing off in the distance, and a lot of times if it's clear enough we can see the mountains off into the distance, the background here, but that's not the case for today with the clouds and the haze as you would imagine. So weather story, the fire danger is going to remain high as we go through the day today, no doubt that. We didn't get a lot of rainfall overnight, but there'll be another opportunity coming. In fact, later tonight we'll go back under a weather aware. A couple of reasons why I'll explain in just a minute. And storms could impact portions of the plateau. That's another thing that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Wind not an issue. Most areas right now, that's good. 6-mile-per-hour gust in Sevierville. Notice the plateau. Got a report earlier that we're seeing the winds starting to pick up there. We're seeing 15, 20 mile per hour winds. That's what's going to happen. This will slide eastward as we go through the afternoon into the evening as that cold front to our west gets closer to us. Let's take a look at the mountains. This is what we really want to focus on. Winds stay rather light through this evening at 6 o'clock. Single-digit wind gusts, that's bearable. That's okay. Watch those as we go later tonight. These winds will increase from Tremont, Pittman Center, over towards the Smokies, and they're coming out of the south, going to the north. That's the direction of the red arrow there. We're seeing 29, 30 mile per hour wind gust here, 1 o'clock in the morning. So this is what we're talking about. Relatively benign winds today during the daylight hours, but they actually increase overnight tonight and will stay gusty all the way into tomorrow morning. This is 3 a.m. on Wednesday, 5 a.m. on Wednesday, into 7 a.m. as well. So again, the winds will get stronger later tonight into tomorrow. What about rain opportunities? Well, it's probably going to be closer to daybreak tomorrow before we see significant rains make their way in to the burn areas. We do have one advisory. It is a high wind watch. Higher elevations above about 3,500 feet in the Smokies. Winds here could gust to 60 miles per hour. But as I showed you, foothills, valley locations, not quite as strong, maybe gusts 35 to almost 40 miles per hour. Still something to watch. Quiet right now on Storm Tracker 6. It's really going to stay that way through the day. The clouds that we have across the central and southern valley, those will thin out. And all the sunshine we see back to the west is what we're going to see during the day today. It'll be much later. Clouds will increase and slide northward. This is almost like a spring-type setup with this cold front coming through. We've got moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. We've got a clear sky. Atmosphere is pretty unstable. In fact, we're talking about the risk of some severe thunderstorms, especially across Mississippi, northwest Alabama, south central Georgia. In fact, an enhanced risk. The risk gets higher the further you go on the scale here. So the orange is higher than what we see in yellow. The green is not quite so bad. And if you don't see anything shaded, it means you're doing okay. And that's kind of what we're seeing for the areas that are in the burn location, not expecting severe weather there. Remember, I mentioned there is a risk for some storms across the plateau later today into tonight. It would be this area that could see some damaging wind gusts as those storms come through. Tornado threat rather low. Yeah, I can't say it's zero, but I think damaging wind gusts would be the main threat if we see any severe weather as those storms roll through. So let's talk about timing with this. 6 o'clock this evening, pretty quiet across the area. Temperatures still mild in the mid-60s by 9. Clouds starting to increase and maybe a stray shower or two before we get to midnight across the valley locations and over towards the foothills. But notice the main line ahead of the cold front still well to our west. This is at 1 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning. So we've not seen a lot of rain in these areas. That's what I was talking about. Not seeing much rain through the overnight hours in this region, and the winds are increasing. It'll be after that we see the showers come off the plateau. There's 7 a.m. on into 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So there's our time frame. Late tonight, mainly more like sunrise to lunchtime for seeing the rainfall opportunities here in the fire areas. What about amounts? Let's take a look at that quickly. From 8 o'clock this evening through midnight, that's that first batch of just some scattered showers coming through. We'll take it. 1/4 inch, possibly more like 1/10 of an inch in many areas, but still mainly dry here. Advance this through 7 a.m. This is what I'm talking about. Not a lot through that time frame. It's mainly back across the plateau. This is great, seeing some 1 inch, almost 2 inch amounts. Then the opportunities come from 7 a.m. through noon across the foothills and into the Smokies, and possibly some 3/4 inch to 1 inch amounts, which would be great. And look at that. If that pans out, that's wonderful. Some 1 to 2 inch amounts across portions of the plateau. So guys, the bulk of today will be dry in the Smokies. Thankfully, the wind's not too bad during the daylight hours, but the winds will increase overnight, and the better opportunities for rain won't come until sunrise through about lunchtime for the Smokies and where the areas that have had the fires. More updates coming up in a few minutes.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will be watching those winds. Matter of fact, when we were hearing Jim Phelps from the Forestry Division, he was talking about, was it the trees that are still burning, and they call them 1,000-hour fires because they literally burn for 1,000 hours, and the current concern is when those winds kick back up, it can spread.
That's
obviously
right.
From there, and they got to try to get in there, find these trees, find these areas, and try to attack them now while they have the
So
time.
it's not a problem hours
Exactly,
from now.
exactly.
We are getting some updates before we move along. Sevierville Police Department, and they just want to pass along, I know a lot of folks want to help right now, but they are asking folks to please do not call the shelters unless you are trying to locate someone. So if you're calling trying to figure out how you can help or can you drop off water, this isn't the time for that. They want to keep those phone lines clear for people who are trying to reach out to loved ones. Also, if you're in that Sevier County area, we just can't say it enough, please don't be on your phones at this time. They want to leave those phone lines clear and not overloaded so first responders can use them, because that's who needs to use it.
Don't be on phones or even on your tablets. I said, hey, if you can hold off downloading that movie or that song for one more day, it would be a huge help to them. Just don't tie things up right now. Well, it's not only people who live here in town forced out, it's also people who are visiting here on vacation.
Absolutely. Right now we are hearing from a man who came to Gatlinburg on vacation, stepped out for a few minutes and tried to get back to his cabin only to be turned away.
You just don't know what to do. I mean, you sit there, you're expecting to come on a vacation and see some lights and take some rides to Dollywood and, you know, see what the town has to offer, and you go get dinner and some groceries for the week and you head back and find out that you can't get back to your family.
Gosh, that means he made no preps, and that's not even a you got to get out in 5 minutes, grab your stuff.
Right. Well, again, it gives you an idea of how quick all this changed.
Right.
You know, as you can see, he's at Rocky Top Sports World right now. The man also saying that his family had to leave their pets behind in their cabin for now. We hope they're okay, we hope.
That's been a concern for a lot of folks who had to move out quickly. I want to show you some video. Mark Nagy with TDOT has been doing a great job of taking us behind the scenes at some of the efforts to clear these roadways. He posted this video using Periscope on Twitter. More work from TDOT on the spur.
That's right. As a matter of fact, TDOT's been out there working to try to clear that way into Gatlinburg. The area right now is closed. We do need to stress that because obviously you can see they got quite a bit of work to do. Really only emergency vehicles are allowed through there on the spur, but we've been hearing a lot, you know, people trying to get out of there were coming down the spur. Instead of going from Gatlinburg to Pigeon Forge last night while these fires were really, you know, blazing, and they said it took them at least 2 hours to get through here. And keep in mind there were fires right alongside of the roadway.
That's right. That's right.
So very scary, but now these crews in there trying to clean that up, get these roads back open so that eventually they can open it up and some of these folks can get back and check on their homes and their property.
Boy, you just see how needed those big trucks are needed with that equipment to clear the roadway. If you've ever been on a roadway where a tree is falling, you cannot. There's no pushing a tree out the way. You need heavy equipment like this to move it out so that cars can pass through.
Well, you may have noticed right there as the camera kind of went by for a moment, some of these trucks still have their snow plows attached to the front. Basically, they're just, well, right here as we pan back, there you saw the plow. If it's in the middle of the road, it's probably the easiest way for them to push it out of the way. Just have that plow and kind of push it off to the side. But go to note again, you kind of notice there's still, you know, see some smoke, little pockets there.
We've got a long way to go. Hopefully this next round of rain will help just a little bit, but keep in mind the evacuation orders are still there. I know you're seeing a lot of the progress we're showing you throughout this broadcast where they're working to clear those roadways, and then to see downtown Gatlinburg, you know, looking intact. You still must stay out of the area. We will let you know when they say it's all clear.
Yeah, and here's the thing to remember too, and Ken's been talking about it as well. You know, the winds are going to kick back up again.
Right.
The crews have got to use this time right now to get as much done as they possibly can. As you see some of that smoking brush there. They have a lot of work to do. We don't want this to rekindle in some of these areas and have a bad situation tonight, even though we don't think the winds are going to be as strong as they were. Some of those gusts last night, I mean, you're talking hurricane-strength winds.
I mean, it was strong in Knoxville. I was home last night.
We actually lost power
my
for a few hours at my home last night. But again, they've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things they need to tackle now.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to do, so when the evening rolls around, hopefully we won't have a repeat of what we saw last night.
Absolutely. We'll keep monitoring Mark Nagy's post, but he's really been showing a lot of those behind-the-scenes videos for us and just letting us know what they're doing, their efforts. There's so many people from the state that have really jumped into action for this disaster response. And I was reading somewhere with the health department, they've got about 30 healthcare professionals that have jumped in to assist as well with folks who may need medical attention.
National Guard helping out. We've been hearing from fire crews, as we mentioned, from all over the state as far away as Murfreesboro. And I can't say enough about the fire crews in Chattanooga. Because you think about it, over the last several weeks, we've been dealing with all the smoke in our areas because those fires coming up from North Georgia, just outside the Chattanooga area, they've been dealing with so much down there in their area. And now we got this, and they're sending their crews up here to help us out. When they still have some issues down there, they're trying to tackle.
I was going to say, firefighters just in general this season have not had a chance to just catch a moment to just breathe. It's like we've had fire after fire, and then you've got this massive fire.
But at least now we've got a little bit more rain in the forecast, so hopefully over time time this is going to help out. But getting some new photos in. Our photographer, Eric, he's been out there shooting. He's been out with Kristen Farley as well, I know, throughout the day. But we're just now getting some pictures in of some of the damage that we're seeing right now. This is along 321.
Boy, and just look at that. You can see right now, this fire, it moved through, and it did some damage. We've seen a lot of buildings that have been spared, but a lot of folks are going to have to rebuild.
Down power lines, it looks like there. That was one of the big things last night, talking about those trees falling on those lines and then lines sparking on like dry ground. And
right. And that's why you got to stay out the area, because it's going to take utility crews to come through and clear off some of this stuff as well. And they're going to probably need a day or 2 or 3 or 4. You know, it's just it's going to take a little while.
And they're working to get power restored, but you know, last time we checked, just under 12,000 people, or customers rather, were still without power. And there's still a lot of work to be done, as you mentioned. You're exactly right here. So, but again, some amazing pictures there. Again, you can see some damaged buildings right there along 321. A lot of people know that area.
It's hard. It's hard to see that's such a quaint spot in East Tennessee. It's just hard to see damage to that area. It really is.
But as we keep hearing from anybody that we talk to, any public official that we talk to, whether it's a mayor or a member of a first responder, said, you know what, this community will rebuild.
Right.
We're not done. This isn't. We're not out.
That's
we're not
right.
Knocked down and out. We're just knocked down a little bit. We'll get up, brush ourselves off, and we'll continue on.
Never thought we'd be doing this story in East Tennessee. You know.
No. So many times, you know, you and I have worked together for a long time. We've showed so many fires out west.
Oh, California.
Yeah. And everything, you're going to see it right here. Here's some more pictures we're getting right now. The fire's aftermath into our
look at that.
This is from Jeff Hale, sending us these pictures of, this is at the Roaring Fork Baptist Church in Gatlinburg, and my goodness, you can see what's left.
Also part of that, the Napa Auto Parts building and the Roaring Fork Nature Motor Trail. That rubble smoldering even after the fires have passed. Yeah,
Kristen Farley had alerted us to the fire at the Napa Valley store early this morning. They kind of caught wind of that something was going on.
Okay.
And now this is really the first time we've had a chance to see this. This is kind of what she's been describing earlier this morning and what's left over. Those are like golf carts. I think we maybe have seen some video of that earlier.
Yeah.
But boy, just a lot of cleanup still needs to be done, that's for sure.
This is going to take a while. This is going to take a while. Very, very hard to watch, you know?
It is.
Hard to watch.
You know, we've lived in this area for so long.
I know.
And when you think, you know, even folks live in Knoxville, you know, take a weekend getaway to the mountains.
All the time, absolutely.
Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area, and you see this damage and thinking, my goodness gracious, it's just like, I mean, we went up to the mountains last month. Took the boys up there, walked around, you're looking out and just thinking, just absolutely beautiful. And now you're thinking, oh my goodness, you know, what's left? And we're not going to know until they're able to get up there and get some of these fires contained.
Wow. We'll keep watching things for you. We're waiting on the next briefing from officials to just kind of find out where they stand. I believe that's supposed to happen around 4 p.m. today. So in the next 3.5 hours or so, we'll get that next update. But they have such a huge task on their hands at this time.
They do. And it sounds like in some respects, in some areas, it looks like they've started to contain the fire in some spots. But as you were hearing earlier, they're going to have those Lakota helicopter up there kind of taking a look at everything. And they said the problem here was that this fire just went in so many different directions. There was no real rhyme or reason.
There was no east or west or no.
And that's the key. And there's so many little pockets that they've got to identify now before, again, those winds kick back up later on tonight.
Wow.
All right.
A lot of folks are really reaching out because they want to help out. Even if you're not from that area, you just want to do your part because it holds a special place in a lot of folks' hearts.
There are a lot of ways to do it. First of all, the TVA Credit Union right now, we understand, is accepting donations. Matter of fact, you even read the tweet earlier. This is from any branch. Mayor O'Hara saying that Knoxville residents wanting to help out can call the city's 211 line as well. And
from there, they'll let you know how to help out. And one that so many of us are familiar with, the Red Cross. They're taking monetary donations. That number is 1-800-RED-CROSS, or text Red Cross to 9099 to make a $10 donation. You can also donate online. We've got that link for you on our website, WATE.com. We've also compiled some other ways that you can help. Some folks want to give monetarily. Others would like to, give cases of water.
And there are areas around collecting that. But the Red Cross says, as far as they are concerned, instead of bringing items to these shelters, if you can, text that number, make the donation, because they can take that money, and who knows, tomorrow that may be a different need than what they need right now, and they can take that money and apply it, whether it's water, clothing, toiletries, whatever they need to do to help some of these families, they can go and purchase it and get exactly what they need.
Because at some point they're going to reach their max on needing bottles of water. Folks are going to start needing clothes. They're going to start needing food vouchers, all the things to just kind of have a normal day that we kind of take for granted. That's just usually accessible when we go home.
That's true. And also those fire crews.
That's
Can't forget about them. They've been out there for hours. on the lines right
And
now battling
thank
those
you.
fires.
I mean, I can't stress
You
enough.
can't say enough,
Thank
right.
you. I mean, to not only put your life on the line, but to go in and help folks.
Knowing that your house may be gone.
Right, and to still push forward, whether it's the firefighters, THP has been posting all the different help they did. Apparently some of the troopers were using their personal chainsaws from their home to go in and help clear trees so that people could make their way out.
Helping your neighbor, yeah. You know, we're also learning Kroger is joining in the effort to help those impacted by the fire. Starting today, customers can make donations at all Middle and East Tennessee Kroger stores, as well as, listen to this, Northern Alabama, Southern Kentucky Kroger locations as well. So you are seeing this outreach just not from inside Tennessee, but across the border as well.
That's right. Each donation, we should note, is tax deductible and will contribute directly to Red Cross efforts to help. So there are lots of ways that you can, I mean, folks have tried to make it as easy as possible to give and to help out in some way.
And we should note, I mean, yes, we were talking about the Red Cross and with the monetary donations. If you do want to give bottled water, I know Sacred Heart was collecting for firefighters. They were taking, you know, lip balm. It's something you don't think about, but you know, they're out there in that heat battling those flames, but also bottled water, Gatorades,
eye drops,
snack bars like this as well, collecting that, something easy for those fire crews. They had a drop-off location earlier today. And then also our friends over at Scripps, you know, Star 102, Q100, 93.1,
104,
104.5. They had a huge big rig over at the Expo Center. And they had to do that because so many people came to their studios right there off Amherst, not far, you know, right off Middlebrook Road. They were overwhelmed. I mean, they filled 3 trucks like that, and people were still coming. So they said, we're going to shift everything over to the Knoxville Expo Center and have people come there right off of Merchant. So
it just goes to show you people want to help out. You know, to give you an example of why people want to help. I know we've been showing you the fire and the buildings and what's left behind, but really this is all about the people and about their community. Let's listen in on some of the reaction from folks who were in that area who had to make their way out in such a quick and hurried way.
Then more people started coming in, and some people that live here, their homes were threatened. I mean, they don't know if they got a home when they go back or not. A lot of people were in, you know, pretty bad danger with this thing. And the wind blowing like it was really, really quick.
Yeah, that was a gentleman, Mr. Cooper there. His family, they vacation here. And they've been coming here for years, and they actually got here. No sooner did they get here, they had to turn around. And you know, he was very concerned because he's like, you know what, you know, I'm just vacationing. I know I have a place to go back to. There's a lot of people. He was really concerned about, obviously, about those of us that live in this community and you know, in our homes, and whether or not they were going to be okay.
Wow. You know, looking at some of that video and just seeing that wind whipping around, I mean, it was just what a night for a lot of folks. A lot of folks didn't see this coming because this started out as, you know, wildfire. It's something that the crews could tackle, and it just spread to the point of panic.
If you were with us yesterday at 4 o'clock, and even then you were starting to see some of the pictures we were bringing to you out of Gatlinburg, the smoke that was being blown into that region from those fires, you were going, my goodness gracious. But then all of a sudden overnight, obviously the winds kicked up. You know, we were talking, you know, 80+ mile/hour winds somewhere in that neighborhood, really fanning those flames, and it just spread in the blink of an eye. As a matter of fact, I know there was a question in the press conference earlier, I believe it was to the fire chief of Gatlinburg, and they were talking about evacuations, and he said at some point we just had to it started happening so quick, you know, you just kind of had to start reacting just basically by the seat of your pants. You know, yeah, you have a plan, but then you had to say, okay, now where do we need to go? Where's the bad spot now? Because everything started to change immediately. So
I mean, I was at home watching. I'm off this week, and I was at home watching. I was like, oh no, okay, it's a fire in the Smokies. Made dinner, came back to just kind of check back in, and it was just kind of like, wait a minute, what's happening? I mean, and by nighttime, and then by this morning on GMT, I mean, it's absolutely devastating.
It really is.
What these folks are going through.
It really is. But again, as we're also hearing a lot of stories of, you know, people going back, finding their homes, finding their businesses, others coming to their aid, friends in the area. Obviously, these shelters, you know, the gratitude. But the shelters themselves, I mean, because this happened so quickly. Throughout the morning, they were trying to restock or at least get supplies to some of those shelters this morning, especially those in Gatlinburg, because it happened so quickly. They weren't really ready. I mean, this
is not like a hurricane where we know, it's turning, and we can kind of get ready. This was everybody get into action.
I think at one point they had 100 cots at the sports complex there in Gatlinburg, and now they were bringing in about 700 the last time we had heard, because, you know, who knew? You know, but it's one of those things. It does happen. It doesn't happen here often, but it has, and it looks like crews moving quickly, obviously, to try to help all these folks out and help out their pets as well. As you saw, that dog made me think about that. Right. All right, we want to check back in with Whitney Good this morning. She's been in Pigeon Forge for us all morning.
And this is her hometown, so this story has been real personal for her. This is a tough one. Whitney, let's check in with you and just kind of get us up to date on what you're finding there at the evacuation center.
Well, Bo and Tirsa, as we were mentioning earlier, a lot of donations have been coming in here, and we just happened to run into Knox Brew Tours. They brought their bus all the way from Knoxville, packed full of donations. Tell me a little bit about how you guys collected those and what all you brought.
Absolutely. So I obviously have a few buses with Knox Brew Tours, which is a way that I knew I could contribute. So a very good friend of mine, Johnny Miller, who is at the Knoxville Expo Center, said they were running short on vehicles to transport. So I headed over there as soon as I got the word, and within 30 minutes my bus was totally full, and now it's completely empty in here, thankfully. So we've got tons of, where I delivered tons of dog food, cat food, clothing, food, basically everything but liquids. We sent those in a separate transport, but anything you could think of is full in that bus. So.
Why is it something that you wanted to help out with and bring these here?
Because that's the best way that I felt that I could contribute. I don't have a lot of food to give, a lot of money to give, but I've got a bus. And I've joked for years with my friends, if you need a bus, give me a call, and thankfully they made that phone call today.
That's excellent. When you realize the support that's coming out for all of these people here, what goes through your mind and to be a part of that?
What goes through my mind is I think a lot of people have this idea that it's sort of every man for themselves, and we get these like Hollywood apocalypse moments where we imagine everyone like hunkering down individually, and that's not the case. When things like this happen, we see people supporting each other and coming together, and it's the opposite of sort of that depiction that we see a lot. To me, this is a really beautiful reminder to choose to see the love in the world versus the hate. When I was driving here, it was a really cool moment for me to see a police escorting 4 fire trucks, each fire truck from a different city. There's a Chattanooga fire truck, an East Ridge fire truck, Athens fire truck, and just to see them rushing here from 100+ miles away from all over just was a really cool impact. And I think this is a good reminder that we as people need to be here for each other. And so that's kind of the silver lining, if you will, in the tragedy.
Absolutely, it really is. Well, we appreciate everything that you've done today, and thanks for bringing all of this in. Thank you so much. So, Bo and Tirsa, you guys were mentioning there are still a ton of ways. If you guys want to donate and give anything, there's a ton of places to go and do that. I think we have all of that on our website, WATE.com, for you. So we'll check back in with you guys in just a little bit. We'll send it back to you guys, Bo and Tirsa.
Hey, Whitney, I don't know if you can hear me, but can you just get us up to date on what the mood is like there at the evacuation shelter?
That's a really good question, Tirsa. It's sort of changed a little bit. People are still curious as to what's going on, and there's still a lot of questions, but seeing all of this support come in, I mean, it's been nonstop for the past few hours, just tons of donations pouring in, and I think that's lifting the mood a little bit. People are grateful. People are going and they're being able to pick up new clothes and toothbrushes, and it's just the little things that people are grateful for, and I think it really has helped out a little bit here. It's
funny you say that. I was going to ask what's going on behind you there.
Right, I see a lot more chatter, and it looks like there's some tables set up behind you there. Is that where they're like kind of laying everything out, or what is that behind you?
Yeah, those are the donations back there that have come in just the past couple hours. Those tables were not there this morning. I'll step out of the way and you can take a look. That is all brand new that has come in from people in the community. So you've got clothes, diapers, you've got toilet paper, you've got food and water. I mean, literally anything you can imagine, it is there. So that is a great example of how this community has come together to help everyone out.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much again, Whitney Good, checking out the situation there. You know, you'd be surprised what just a fresh, clean pair of jeans and a T-shirt will do for you in a moment like this. Yeah, and also, you know, a lot of those people made their way there when it was still dark outside, and you just had no idea. And there's something just about, you know, but when the sun pops up, it kind of gives you, you know, at least you can see what's going on. It makes you feel maybe a little bit more secure. And as you can see, as they see all that outpouring of support, it's got to make them feel a whole lot better. Wow. Yeah, so that's great to see. That was a nice job there. And again, Red Cross this, though, if you can. Just text 90999. Right. And there'll be a $10 donation if you can. And that will definitely go a long way as well. So they'll make that money stretch, you know?
They definitely will. And we've, like I said, we've seen people taking actual goods, you know, taking, you know, bottled water, clothing, and whatnot. But if you can donate cash as well, well, then that goes just as far, if not even further in some cases.
Now, I know you may be looking at the live shot that Whitney just did, and you saw in the background and people dropping off clothing and such. We do want to remind you, Sevierville Police is saying, please don't call the shelters. There are several shelters that are set up. At this time, the only people they want calling those shelters are if you are looking for a loved one, and we do have that situation for some folks trying to get in contact with loved ones that they may have gotten separated, or like that one gentleman that was visiting, he just went out for a little bit and all of a sudden he realized he couldn't even get back to his
he just gone to the grocery store to get some supplies,
right.
And thinking he was going to get the supplies and turn around and go back up to the cabin, and they said, nope, too late, you can't do it. And it's like, wait a minute, I just came to the grocery store.
So don't call, let them do their thing. Like, reach out to the Red Cross if you want to help out. There are other organizations that are helping. Maybe go through them before calling those shelters.
Yeah, definitely some good advice there. Again, and there's many areas set up here around the area as well, so we'll have to continue to check in with them. But it has been amazing, the outpouring of support from around the local area, but really around the region as well. So
I know a lot of folks tuning in are still, curious about, how many people have been hurt. We are still waiting to get more updates. We do have a number of people who have been critically injured, and they're being treated at UT Medical Center, as well as Vandy at the Burn Center there. So keep that in mind. We do have some folks and still keeping our thoughts and prayers this morning.
Pass this along real quick here for a moment. We're just getting some information, looks like from Ripley's Aquarium.
Okay.
The Smokies, the big headline here says, reports the animals safe and under care.
Okay, this is good news because there were so many people concerned. There are about 10,000 plus animals. There's a lot of marine life, obviously, at Ripley's Aquarium. And a lot of folks were very concerned when those employees and visitors had to leave. What about those animals? So they're letting us know this morning. First, they want to say thank you to all those first responders for risking their lives to save our community. They wanted to thank their dedicated aquarium team that stayed as late as possible before being forced to evacuate when fires approached the back of the building. They're grateful to have the police escort their emergency team back into the aquarium early this morning to check on all of those animals.
What's interesting to note here, too, is they said that they have been in contact with their Ripley teams out of Myrtle Beach, Buffalo, some other areas, and said that they are on standby to assist as well. So really the Ripley family, if you will, coming together, all of their different organizations and their sites around the country. So that's good to see. Yeah, we've been talking about all morning long about the animals there. A lot of you have been asking about them as well. And again, we just got this just a few moments ago from Ripley's Aquarium showing that the animals are safe and under care right now. Good news.
Definitely good news.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses, we're just waiting for more updates and just status checks. There's, you've got Dollywood. We got information from them saying that their resort is okay, and as well as the Dollywood complex, it is okay. We're getting that update from Ripley's, so there is some good news.
Yeah.
Some good news out of all of this. Really, that downtown strip, Ripley's is a part of that city center, that downtown strip.
They are a fixture.
Right.
Think about it. The aquarium, you have all the different museums along through there as well. They have a team of marine biologists, life support experts inside the aquarium. And again, they're saying that the animals, they're checking on them. They are safe. That is great to see. They want to also thank all the many aquariums and zoos that have stepped up to offer their support as well, anything they could do to help out those animals.
And they're going to remain closed for the time being until the evacuation has been lifted in the area. So while we are glad those animals are safe, that doesn't mean it's back to business as usual for them. The area is still very delicate in that city center.
Very much so. And what I think is interesting here at the very bottom of this release, they're talking about everybody coming to their aid and everything they're doing. Despite everything they're having to deal with right now, they're also saying they are going to be helping in any way possible to help this area recover from this event. So that's great, that they're obviously going to be giving back such a fixture as you were mentioning just a moment ago, Tirsa.
Absolutely. I know we were talking earlier about, speaking of Ripley's with the animals.
These were some of the pictures real quick. I just should point out what you're looking at here. These were pictures from the aquarium that were taken by one of the workers there. So this is kind of the scene.
Ryan DeSeer.
Yeah, and this is why it was we were so concerned for those animals and really what was going on there at the aquarium and that surrounding area, because, it was right there. You walked outside, I walked out of the aquarium, you could see this. And but again, the aquarium is
somehow
okay.
It was spared. Somehow.
Yeah, but so the aquarium's good. Downtown Gatlinburg, for the most part, intact. It looks like it looks in good shape. So
that picture that we're showing with that one long sign, that tall sign. Signage. I believe we saw the morning shot of that. We've seen this. Okay, not this one. This one right here. We've seen the daylight picture of this, and that building is destroyed. Obviously, by looking at that photo, it did not make it. But it's just daybreak has really shed a lot of light on how much work has to be done in the Gatlinburg, Sevierville, Sevier County area.
Well, and speaking of Gatlinburg, the mayor had pointed out earlier, it's about 10 square miles as far as the city.
Okay.
About half of that, so 5 square miles, is what has been damaged in some capacity by these fires. fires.
But think about how many businesses are condensed into that.
Oh, I know.
You know, this is not like a
it's
spread out
not a lot of
area.
wiggle room.
Right,
That is for sure as far as downtown Gatlinburg. But as we showed you, T-Dot, gracious enough to post that video earlier, they took a drive right through the heart of Gatlinburg, really down the main drag, if you will, and boy, those buildings intact. Everything looks good through there, so that was nice to see. Not to say some of the surrounding areas and dealing with some other issues.
Absolutely,
right.
absolutely. Again, there are 153 structures right now that they are still working to get out that last leg of the fire.
Yeah, and that was really for Sevier County.
Okay.
There were 150 structures, but in the Wares Valley area there were about 70 homes, and there were about 70 in the Cobbly Knob area as well. This was about as of the 11 o'clock press conference. So hopefully they're making some headway there.
Which is why they don't want people in the area, because they still are going door to door.
Right.
There are folks that still have not been able to reach out to first responders if they need help, so they've got to go door to door. So they want to limit the amount of traffic, the amount of mobile traffic. Stay off your phone if you're in the Sevier County area.
We'll go back out to Don Dare right now. He's in Gatlinburg with more details for us. You're getting some new information, Don.
Well, Bill, you're talking about structures that were damaged in Wares Valley and in Gatlinburg. Well, the huge Westgate Resort and Spa Complex, there is considerable damage to it. We are told it's located on the parkway leading into Gatlinburg. Many of the villas there, listen to this, many of the villas are made of logs. And with the wind whipping 70, 80 miles an hour yesterday, many of those log villas caught on fire. But that was after some of the 500 people had been evacuated by the staff. We were told that one couple was stuck in an elevator, and there was a dramatic rescue of them. We talked with Casey Stewart. He's a salesperson. We talked with Scott Frederick. Scott went into the Westgate Resort and Spa about 2 hours ago, and here's what Scott Frederick had to say. When you got to Westgate today, what did you see?
Pretty much utter devastation, besides a water park, sales center, 300 buildings. For those who know Westgate, they're still there. Pretty much everything above the 300 buildings except for the 5,000 building and the 500 buildings up top are gone.
And Casey, what did you see when you arrived?
I left the property yesterday at around 1:30 or 2 o'clock. It was a lot of smoke. People just kind of trying to figure out what was going on. Other than that, I've seen pictures just from fans on Facebook, online. A lot of the property is destroyed, and just kind of waiting to see what's going on, see what we hear from it.
How many units are there?
Approximately 1,000.
How about the people who were staying there?
From my understanding, they were all evacuated early on. I know that Westgate higher-ups said evacuate the property, get people off of it, just to kind of keep people safe.
Did everyone get out?
To my understanding, I think that everybody's evacuated properly safely. I haven't heard anything else.
They had to do one rescue.
And I'm sorry?
They had to do one rescue when I talked to the fire department. That was from the volunteer fire department from oh my gosh, what is that? The mountain they call it on English Mountain Fire Department, Greenville Fire Department. They said they had to do a rescue on the 3rd story of one of the buildings. There was a couple that got trapped in one of the elevators for some reason. Just a reminder: anytime there's a fire, don't use the elevator. They got trapped in the elevator. It took 8 crews to go up to find them which building it was in, because all they do is that they called 911. They were in the elevator and they were in a fire. And you know, at a resort, there's a bazillion elevators.
So for you two gentlemen who are in sales, what does this mean for you?
Opportunity, because we will rebuild.
We will rebuild. You heard what they said. And earlier you were talking about everyone working together. We talked with the Division of Forestry about half an hour ago, and we were told there are literally hundreds of firefighters here. And as you just heard Frederick say, that the English Fire Department and the Greenville Fire Department was there at the resort yesterday, getting everyone out and making sure that those people stuck on the elevator were okay. All are accounted for at the resort as far as we know. Now, let me just tell you about what it's like coming into here. You know, if you come from the north and the other side, from I-40, from Cosby, you go through Laurel Springs, you go through Schultz Grove, Wilderness Creek. You wouldn't even know that there had been a fire because you can't even smell the smoke as you're coming from that area, but as soon as you get into the Gatlinburg area, it's all around. But there are some dramatic stories here, and we'll let you know in about half an hour another story about how people help people. We'll have that one for you in a while. Bo and Tirsa, back to you.
We've heard a lot of stories, people coming to each other's aid, but yeah, looking forward to hearing that from Donna coming up here in a little bit.
All right, and speaking of aid, you know, we are getting an update on some of the wildlife and cattle in that area. The Tennessee Department of Agriculture is saying that currently they had about 40 cattle that were evacuated from the region because somebody was asking about Cades Cove and some of the horses there.
Sure.
And so they're still working to kind of figure out how many of those horses were evacuated or if they were with that group. But they are jumping in. Also getting an update from the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. They're saying right now the LeConte Lodge and Elkmont are still okay as of right now. Until all fires in the area are out, the future is unknown. So they're cautiously optimistic that everything will remain okay there.
And that's some good news that so far so good, because there were a lot of concerns overnight, especially up on Mount LeConte.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we're bringing you more team coverage right now. As a matter of fact, WATE 6 News Side meteorologist Ryan Beasley is joining us, Lori Tucker as well, to get us up to date.
Yeah, we're going to talk you through some amazing footage. You have been up in the air, one of the few people to go up in the air, Ryan, on a helicopter, and this is some of the footage you've brought back. This is some of the GoPro footage.
This is GoPro footage. Again, we went up with scenic tour, helicopter tours. This is looking into Gatlinburg. That's Gatlinburg. It's very shaky because it's very windy.
So this is Wares Valley over here.
Wares Valley, I guess, hill or top of the ridge of the mountain there, that's Skyview Drive. And you'll see here in a second. Let me fast forward here a little bit. Again, that's Gatlinburg where it's covered in smoke.
All this smoke.
So here's some fast forwarding just a little bit to give you a better angle of what exactly we saw. All of this right here, all of those brown spots you see, that's foundations of homes.
And brown and white.
Yeah.
So we're talking hundreds of homes that you
that
saw.
Whole side of the mountain right there. And over Gatlinburg is right there in that valley.
Okay.
This is above it on Skyview Drive. And look, there's still active fires going on over this ridge. And this was just a couple hours ago. So there's still a lot of hot spots. This is where it got devastating. Look at that. It's hard to see at home. But let me move forward to a different camera view because you can really see it.
And where was that exactly?
That was, this is it right here. Zoomed in. Look at that.
Wow. All of these homes, and these are big, expensive homes, burned to the ground.
That's near
That's all we
Skyview
see.
Drive. Yeah.
This is utter devastation everywhere you look.
So if you're not familiar with that road, this is just west of Gatlinburg, northwest of Gatlinburg, meaning going up in elevation.
Right.
And it is just east and north of Wares Valley. It's kind of in the middle between there.
Now, these are some structures that were intact.
Correct. Yeah, look, those are condos. Those are condo buildings demolished. And I zoomed in here because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Look at that. And it's shaky again because it was very windy. It was very windy.
Wind is still a factor.
Yes. Getting into that smoke while being in a helicopter, it creates turbulence. And it was, let me tell you.
It's like flying through fog in a plane.
Exactly. It was very tough.
Oh,
anytime you go through a cloud, you can, let me replay this again because this is probably the best video that we have, or most, it really paints.
And we still see some smoldering ruins. Let me ask you this while we're looking at this.
Flames. Is that what you're going to ask?
Yes.
Flames right there.
You can read my mind. Flames right there.
Yeah, that's the only place where I saw flames visible, was right there in those homes, in those log cabins.
So do you think it's realistic to say that from crews on the ground, they said really 14 fires that they're actively fighting right now?
You know, I would say that's fairly accurate. I saw more so of, I didn't see much of any flames. A lot of the residue is just a very low burn. You know, last night, all the videos we saw, those were flames shooting up feet, tens of 20 of feet up in the air.
Yeah.
Some questions. I know this is, again, this is near Skyview Road, just in the Gatlinburg area. A lot of people ask about Westgate. Well, in the beginning of the video where we saw all that smoke, that's looking towards Westgate. That's looking towards the spur.
And of course, we're talking about the resort community.
Yes.
100 buildings, and we were saying earlier, we've been told that that has been really, really devastated.
Right.
To the point of destruction.
And coming up later, once I have more time to upload some video and some sound, we're going to show you what it looks like over Dollywood. because a lot of people have been concerned. I know there have been some positive reports lately.
We've
as
gotten
far as
positive reports from
Yes.
the theme park itself.
But not the cabins.
Not the cabins.
And let me tell you, I can see it very vividly from the air, or I saw it very
And you're going to show
vividly,
that to us
and I
coming
will
up in
show
our
that
coverage.
too. I just haven't had time to upload it all, but we have that footage where there, I'm telling you, it had
All
to
right.
be less than a mile.
You're just back. We
Yep.
can't wait to see more of it. Glad you're safe, and we'll be right back.
This is a WATE 6 on your side special report.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are continuing our coverage of the Gatlinburg wildfires and the devastation that we have seen in our area. Good afternoon. I'm Tirsa Smith.
I'm Lori Tucker. It's into hour 10
Right.
of our coverage from this morning. You came on board later this morning, and we have seen a progression of good news,
right,
which is wonderful to see, and then some devastation as well. We just saw some incredible video from our own meteorologist Ryan Beasley, just back from flying above in a helicopter,
Right.
looking at the devastation. Homes, home after home after home, burned to the ground, nothing left but foundation.
I mean, it's really been a roll of the dice for
Yes.
a lot of folks in that area, whether you made it out but your home didn't, your home sustained damage or not. We've got businesses that we thought were on the brink of being destroyed. Somehow the fire danced around it and it's fine. So we're getting some updates this morning. We should note thousands of people were forced out of their homes because of this fire. Tonight, one man is continuing to search for his family.
This is so heart-wrenching. We heard from Michael Reed this morning, early this morning, at a shelter in Pigeon Forge. We just checked back in with him. He still has not been able to get hold of his wife and 2 daughters after they had to evacuate. So please take a really good look at their pictures. His wife, Constance, that's one of his daughters, Lily, who is 9. That was Chloe, who had just turned 12 a few days ago. So Constance, Chloe, and there's little Lily. And the last time he heard from his wife was around 8:15 last night. He says she called him to tell him about the flames getting closer to their home.
A friend of mine went to the other shelter in Gatlinburg, and they said she wasn't there. I've called the other shelters here. They said she isn't there. Just hoping for a miracle.
My goodness. We're told Reed has since learned his home was destroyed. If you see any of them at a shelter or around anywhere, reach out to us. We will let him know that they are okay. Just call our newsroom and we will work to get them in contact. But can't imagine a father not being able to reach his wife and his 2 young daughters in the midst of all this, and to find out you lost her home.
Yes.
You
now,
know?
he was able to go back mid-morning.
Right.
And broke the rules, but can you blame him? That's his family. He goes back to the scene, and he said that he felt that there were signs that the family was able to get out of there.
Okay.
So we're hoping that that is the case, hoping and praying. And of course, as soon as we hear something definitive, we will let you know. In the meantime, we need to check in with our own Marshall Hughes.
Yeah, he's at the Expo Center right now, where I believe you've got some folks that have been evacuated.
All right, thanks, Lori and Tirsa. Thanks. Yes, we're at the LeConte Center, and earlier today I spent some time at the Knoxville Expo Center, and that's where Crystal White is the general manager of. She said she came into work today and had no idea that she would obviously be helping out with donations, but we've seen a lot of these makeshift donation centers set up. The Knoxville Expo Center is one of them. That's located at 5441 Clinton Highway, and we've seen thousands of people donating supplies there in Knoxville, taking them out here to the LeConte Center. I talked to Crystal White just about the people donating in East Tennessee.
The amount of people that have called and shown up, it's amazing. We have the best community ever. It's unbelievable. We had no idea it would grow this large. We were just going to try to be a couple of people who just wanted to help out, and it turned into something way bigger than that, which God is good all the time.
Again, Crystal White with the Knoxville Expo Center, the general manager there. She said she's been setting up for Christmas shows, and yes, she came in today and felt the need to help donate and help set up a center. We've seen people donating the trucks all the way up to supplies, so much water, as well as diapers. We've seen dog food. We've seen dog crates. I also saw a box of just shoes, and simply somebody brought just a box of what looked like some Sperry shoes in to be donated as well. So people bring everything, and it seems like it's all headed here in Pigeon Forge to the LeConte Center. We're going to have more on that in just a little bit. Lori, Tirsa.
Oh, thank you so much. People are so generous in this time of need. Talk about volunteer spirit.
Absolutely, and doing this is great because you don't have people clogging up that roadway going into Sevierville.
Right.
Let them take that big old truck up there instead of taking a whole bunch of SUVs
Yes.
and cars and trying to help out. This is a great effort. And we should note real quick before we move on, speaking of helping out, Knoxville Police just now posting that the Knoxville Civic Auditorium and Coliseum, well, it's going to be accepting donations this week for evacuees and first responders for the Gatlinburg area. They are currently accepting cases of water and Gatorade, prepackaged non-perishable food items, toiletry items, blankets, diapers, and formula. So that's a way in Knoxville that you can help out.
Yes, okay, so yet another way you
Right,
can, and
right.
keep the roadways clear up there, as we were mentioning. All right, as we said just a few minutes ago, WATE 6 on your side's Ryan Beasley just back on the ground after taking a look today at the fires from a helicopter. Now, we are learning from what he found, the Treetops Resort, sadly, is burned to the ground. You can see very little left of the resort after those fires. The white spots you see, that's foundation. It seems that only the sign was untouched.
That is stunning.
And you see that right there.
Look at that. I mean, to just think about how fast this all moved through. These are large structures. I mean, these are just multiple large,
gorgeous,
sturdy structures,
Yes.
and they have been reduced to what you see on your screen right now.
You know, someone a long time ago, when I was covering an earthquake, said, you know, earthquakes are not unlike fires because they'll hit here, they'll hit there, and spare something in between. And that was hard for me to really understand.
Until you look
see
at
a
this,
car
right.
up, a fire up close, and absolutely, it can hop around depending on so many different conditions.
Wow, great to see that video to give a better idea now that the sun is up. Again, Ryan just got back from doing that helicopter
Brave
tour. I know, and a lot of video. We're getting a lot of insight. Well, the 100 and 230th Assault Helicopter Battalion at McGee-Tyson Air Base says that they are also flying missions today for the wildfires, so keep that in mind.
Yes, they have 3 Black Hawks that have flown to the Gatlinburg Airport in the last 30 minutes. They're going to be operating out of that airport. 2 helicopters configured to drop water, and they have been doing that, we understand. The other one is for rescue operations with a hoist, and yet another helicopter, this one coming in from Nashville. It's a Lakota UH-72. It's flying around with communications gear and what is called forward-looking infrared, and they're going to be using that
which is
search
amazing.
operation.
That's that thermal imaging.
Yes, so it can find people who may be trapped in their homes and needing help. Now, you have pulled up, I believe we're waiting on, do we have it yet?
Well, I don't see it yet. We've got an email from Governor Haslam.
Yes.
Jeff, if you can tell me where to find, I don't have that just yet.
And
but
my
apparently,
phone's across the studio.
No, that is okay. We will work to tell you about that in just a second, waiting on my email to refresh.
All right, he's traveling to Gatlinburg today for a briefing.
Okay.
So Governor Haslam will be here for a briefing at 4 o'clock. Now, our last briefing with officials who have everything to do with coordinating
all that first
firefighting
response.
efforts. Yes, they're at the Anna Porter Library, which is in Gatlinburg, very close to one of the shelters. They had mentioned that the next briefing will be at 4 o'clock. So the plan is for Governor Haslam to be there addressing the public, coming up today at 4 o'clock, and of course we will be there live.
Wow. You know, you just have to think it has been a very busy season for our firefighters. I mean, this is a huge fire, but they have not, this is not like they're coming off the sidelines and they've had time to rest.
Right.
In East Tennessee, we've had fire after fire, and now this one.
And this just came up so quickly after a series of events. We had, you know, lowering of humidity. We had the winds whipping up. We had all these different conditions that really conspired to make the perfect storm, if you will. And that's what so many people have called it today, the perfect storm. I believe you're looking for his statement right now, the governor's statement. And as you do that, let me tell you that we're just learning more than 120 Tennessee Army National Guard soldiers are mobilizing here. You heard earlier that the governor had said he was going to ask that they be here, and so they are going to be here later today to help the Sevier County emergency management personnel. What they're going to be doing is transporting first responders, removing some of the light debris that is out there, and this is so important, assisting with welfare checks. So going door to door, making sure everyone is out of damaged homes, or out of homes, period, because smoke inhalation is another big concern.
Absolutely, and we've had a lot of folks that are saying, I still haven't been able to reach my loved one. So it is very important to find out if they are in any of these structures, because right now they're working on clearing off roadways, moving those heavy trees. That's not something you can just do at the house by yourself. You need those big trucks to just go ahead and clear out some of the way. It looks like we've got that statement from the governor now. It says the destruction caused by the wildfires in East Tennessee is tragic. Our hearts go out to all those affected in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and throughout the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, one of our state's most treasured natural resources. Haslam said he will do all we can in the coming days and weeks to help these communities rebuild and recover. The state has worked with local officials to provide a coordinated multi-agency response, and we've seen that all morning long and overnight, to help evacuate residents and visitors and contain the fires. And we are grateful to the emergency personnel who have worked tirelessly to help in these efforts, and you can't express that gratitude enough.
No, well, we thank you. We thank you. And, you know, just to underscore that, when I talked about the National Guard, we're talking soldiers from units in Maryville, Pigeon Forge, Morristown, Newport, Greenville, Lenoir City, Knoxville, Bristol, all moving to the Operations Center in Pigeon Forge to help the Tennessee Highway Patrol with health and welfare checks and all the other things I just mentioned.
And all that help was needed. That's very welcome help, because, you know, the Gatlinburg Fire Department couldn't have done this on their own. It is a lot.
And they work in 12-hour shifts, as we were told earlier, and that doesn't mean that's hard labor for 12 hours, but they're away from base for 12 hours, and so they need to be relieved every 12 hours. So we're glad that we've got fire crews coming in as well. We want to take a break now and check in with Ken.
Absolutely. A lot of folks, you know, looking for any type of relief when it comes to the weather. I know we're talking about more rain tonight, but there are still some concerns, and you're saying, you know, be grateful for this rain, but cautiously.
Exactly right, because the wind is not done yet. It's not going to be like last night by any means, but gusty winds expected later tonight. Quiet right now. Look at the sunshine across the area. This is McLeod Mountain, Campbell County. So the Smokies are off in the distance. Kind of hard to pick out again with the haze and the smoke that we have there. And there was actually a house fire here earlier this afternoon. No reports on that yet, except from a viewer that sent that tip in. We'll check on that for sure. Again, that was in Campbell County. Fire danger remains high, though, as we go through the day today. No doubt about that. More rain rolls in tonight. It will be a weather-aware day overnight into tomorrow. Plateau could actually see some thunderstorms. We'll talk about that as well. But let's look now. Wind's not an issue. We have gusts only at 5 miles per hour right now in Sevierville, but the Plateau been a little gusty at times. We've had reports there of those 10 to 20 mile per hour winds, pretty steady, and the gusts in that 25 range. That's going to be sliding eastward as we go through the afternoon today. So let's look at 6 o'clock and let's focus in on the Smokies. Again, wind's not an issue at least through the evening hours, 10, maybe 15 mile per hour winds. Notice, though, overnight, they start to increase. That's 8 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock. We're starting to see 20, 30 mile per hour wind gusts. And those only increase overnight. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. We're seeing 29, 30 mile per hour wind gusts, 36 Tremont, 32 there in the Smokies. That's above about 3,500 feet. And these winds will continue to stay brisk into the early morning hours on our Wednesday. And this is before the rain starts to move in to this region. All right, we do have Actually, a high wind watch posted for the Smokies. This is above about 3,500 feet. That means winds there could gust to 60 miles per hour, but everybody else, foothills locations, including Gatlinburg, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, you're going to see winds probably in that 30, as I showed you, mile per hour range, maybe a little bit higher than that. Not much going on right now on radar. We're starting to see that smoke plume appearing once again here in the Gatlinburg area. You can see it slowly trailing off towards the northeast. So we're starting to see possibly some smoke returning to some areas there in Gatlinburg. Let me pull back out, though, and you can see we've got a lot of sunshine across our area. And this is almost like a spring-type setup with this cold front coming in. We're finally seeing winds at most of the levels coming out of the south. It's pulling a lot of moisture up from the Gulf of Mexico. And we're warm. We're seeing temperatures warming into the 60s and 70s across much of Tennessee. And as this cold front comes through, there's actually a risk of severe storms tonight, especially northwest Alabama and Mississippi. That's called an enhanced risk. The higher you go on the scale, the greater the risk of severe thunderstorms across the area. But notice we're kind of in that lower end, marginal for the valley, and we're not seeing the risk of severe storms over towards the burn areas, which is good. But this is where we'll be focusing later this evening. As that cold front comes through the plateau, could be some damaging wind gusts with some of the storms that move through. So let me set the stage for you, get some idea of the timing that'll be coming through with the rain. This is 6 o'clock this evening. We're all still dry. Much the same by 9 o'clock. The clouds, though, are starting to build. A few spotty showers trying to develop from the southern valley, pushing northward by 11 o'clock. But really, the bulk of the burn areas will be staying dry through the early morning hours. There's 1 o'clock. There's 4 o'clock. The rain's moving on to the plateau. We're still mainly dry here. Much the same by 7 o'clock. There are the scattered showers. So really from sunrise through about lunchtime is going to be the more favored time frame for seeing the rainfall in the burn areas on our Wednesday. In fact, let's take it on up towards the noon hour, and you can see there. And then basically mid-afternoon on, we'll actually see some drier and cooler air start to work its way in. So let's look at the rainfall estimates from 8 o'clock tonight through early morning, about midnight, 12:30. Negligible over into the burn areas. That's why I said the better opportunity is going to be overnight. Here's 8 o'clock in the morning. Look at the steady rains. This is great news for the plateau. 1 to 2 inch amounts possible there. Still not a lot, as you can see here. Wednesday, that's 8 a.m. The better bet will come after that. This would be very welcomed. Anytime we're seeing 1 inch plus amount rainfall possibility here, that would be nice to see. So 3/4 inch Maryville, 1 inch Sevierville, 2 inches, again above about 3,500 feet. Those are estimates, but gives a pretty good idea. We'll have to keep an eye, make sure it doesn't fall too quickly in a short amount of time, because then we could be dealing with some flooding issues, especially where the charred and scarred areas are from the burns up there in the higher elevation. So hour by hour, again, dry through sunset tonight. Very spotty rain chances between 10 and midnight. The better opportunity is going to come after that. And we're going to see, again, the best opportunity in the 7-day forecast will be overnight into tomorrow through about lunchtime. And then we're dry into the weekend. Thursday, Friday looking pretty good. Here's some better news. Forecast looks like opportunities for rain starting to come back, especially as we head late weekend into the first part of next week. So overnight Saturday into Sunday, forecast models coming in a little bit better agreement. They're going to be seeing some better chance of some scattered showers in here for Saturday night through possibly midday Tuesday. And look at the temperatures, cooler as well. We're not talking about 60s and 70s. We're talking about 50s in the daytime, 30s at night. And that's going to be nice because we had that coming through. That means we're going to have those slow, steady soaking rains and probably a better opportunity as well of not seeing strong winds coming through. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. We have the opportunities for the steady soaking rains and probably not going to be seeing those strong gusty winds. But again, that's till the weekend. Just want to point out, though, we've got several hours to go before the rain moves into the burned areas of the Smokies, and the winds will remain brisk overnight tonight. I have more details coming up in just a minute.
Ken, wait, quick question for you. So when it's cooler like that, does it also mean it's a less chance for like a storm, more of just rain, which is what we need?
The way this pattern is setting up, yes, it looks more like one of those steady, slower, soaking kind of rain events, and that's kind of what we need for sure, Tier. So you're right.
Absolutely. No lightning, no.
No, we just need to get through tonight.
Right.
Critical time. You know, we have been seeing some incredible video right now, thanks to many of you viewers, including Hector Molina. Let me tell you about Hector. He's an employee at Westgate Resorts that we've been telling you have been leveled by these wildfires. We spoke with him about an hour ago live.
That's right. And really, this is his place of employment. And he had the chance to drive through to see what was left. And he showed us some of the video and toured some of the remains of that property. Let's take a listen.
My brother lives in Gatlinburg, and I was able to help a few people but we live about 25 minutes away from here in Sevierville, so that's where my house is. Everything is fine with my house, but a lot of people that live in this area, they're pretty bad shape. We know the back roads. We tried a few different places and a few different back roads to go into the area where the fires are at. Right now, you can see where the fires are here, and the cable lines or the electric lines are down right there. And Mountain Road, hopefully I don't lose hope. But you guys can see like the trees are right here.
All right, we want to thank Hector Molina for taking time to FaceTime with us at a time when we could not get our cameras back in that area, and we still can't right now in many areas that are still under evacuation orders, or we just don't need to be there because firefighters are there and rescue crews are there. But it really gave us a look. Viewers are our eyes and ears out there. Gave us a look at the destruction of what once was, as of yesterday, a beautiful property, a resort with 100 gorgeous buildings on it, all gone.
Employed so many people, and that's got to be hard. I can't imagine being Hector and seeing this is where you go to work every day, and
this is what's left.
It is gone. If there is any good news this morning, our own Kristen Farley, sometime this morning, is going to be allowed, or this afternoon, I should say, is going to be taken on a tour, which kind of lets you know things are getting a little bit safer, that they're able to open that up to the media and give them a tour of some of the areas, the roads that are previously closed.
So we can show you.
Right. We'll get that soon. We'll get that soon.
In the meantime, let's check in with our Marshall Hughes. He is at LeConte Center, which has been serving as a shelter and also a gathering place for so many folks who are giving. In fact, Marshall, you're with a volunteer right now.
That's right, Lori. This is Bernie, and Bernie lives in Sevierville. He's actually been here since 6 o'clock this morning. He owns a car dealership in Sevierville. He said, we're going to close up shop and come volunteer. Describe for me the situation since you've been here at 6 a.m. What have you seen?
Well, it's amazing, It's amazing how people have been helping and everything, and I really love it. And like I said, I got a car dealership, but I really want to help. That's why I'm here. And then, like I told you, I mean, right now it's a big catastrophe going in Costa Rica with a hurricane, and people are helping down there. So, hey, listen, I cannot be there, but I'm here, so I would be more than happy to help anybody down here.
Yeah, Bernie is a native of Costa Rica. You said volunteer-wise, you see pushing water and sodas and things like that. Can you tell me what do people need right now? Is there something that in particular people could help donate?
Well, if people can donate, like I did, I went to Walmart, got some cases of water, plastic cups, silverware and stuff that they can bring it. Last night and this morning they were saying that stay home, don't leave the house. But right now, if you're gonna volunteer, it's better to go get groceries, bring it down here to the fire departments, to the police departments. That would be big time helpful.
Yeah, you said you've lived in this area for about 13 years, and I'm sure you've never seen anything like this.
Never, my first time ever.
Yeah.
First time ever, and then hey, we're here to help. We gotta help each other.
Okay, how many volunteers would you say are with you that maybe came from Sevierville that have jobs and just decided to help?
Well, I have seen a lot of people that they have jobs, like you said, and then they give a day off, or they just come down here and try to help, which is amazing. Teamwork.
Yeah, Bernie, really appreciate what you're doing. Yeah, keep it up. Again, we're at the LeConte Center. People just like Bernie here continuing to help volunteer, but also so many people coming in as well. I've seen dozens of pillows and cots and blankets set up, as well as so much water coming in. Again, we were in Knoxville earlier today at the Expo Center and just seeing thousands of water bottles just headed this way. Great to see all the volunteer support right now. Lori, Tirsa.
All right, Marshall, thank you so much. Yeah, it's so good, as we've been saying, to see all that renewed activity behind Marshall, people continuing to bring in donations and that kind of thing. And, while our hearts are thinking about that, we can't forget the man we met there at LeConte Center at around 7 o'clock this morning, Michael Reed. He's just one of thousands forced out of their home because of that fire, and right now, Michael Reed is continuing to search for his family.
That's right. This has been a very heartbreaking story because there's been so much uncertainty with him. Again, he was at that shelter in Pigeon Forge. We should note we just checked back in with him. He still has not been able to get a hold of his wife and his 2 young daughters after they had to evacuate. Take a look at their pictures, especially if you're in the Sevier County area. This is his wife, Constance, his daughter, Lily, who is 9, Chloe, who you see there, who just turned 12 just a few days ago. The last time he has heard from his wife was around 8:15 last night. He says she called him to say that the flames were getting closer to their home.
A friend of mine went to the other shelter in Gatlinburg, and they said she wasn't there. I've called the other shelters here. They said she isn't there. Just hoping for a miracle.
My goodness. We're told Reed has since learned that his home was destroyed. If you see any of them at a shelter or just around anywhere, reach out to us here at WATE 6 on your side. We will get in contact with him. We have his number. Just call our newsroom, 637-6666. Call us, let us know. We should note he did get word that there were some folks that were at Ober, so he's going to now try to get over there or contact them. But right now, he's just doing all he can to find his wife and his 2 girls.
And we're all holding our collective breath.
No kidding. Because I just can't imagine, you know, waiting this long to find out where your family is, your wife and your girls. So if we hear anything, we will let you know. If you've seen them, let them hold your phone. Please let them get in contact.
Yes. In the meantime, prayers continue, that's for sure. I want to let you know some information about the Red Cross. You know, we've been telling you, and as a Red Cross board member, I try to tell people monetary donations are the most important.
Absolutely.
Because the Red Cross knows what is needed. They go out, they have volunteers, they assess the situation. One need at one shelter may be different than a need at another shelter. Having said that, what the Red Cross is trying to do right now, they're not set up to take donations that people are collecting. While hearts are in the right places, items, things that are collecting. So, and they also need to keep the roads clear, as we've been talking about as well. So they're trying to secure a warehouse right now in Sevierville for donations like blankets, like clothes, coats and things like that. And so they're going to update us once they have that. In the meantime, we do have some drop-off locations that can take these types of donations other than money. So if you have water, Gatorade, comfort items, no clothing, but water, Gatorade, food items, you can go to Regal Cinemas in Turkey Creek, Swarm in Sevierville. That's at 203 Court Avenue. We're going to put this on our website as well. Also, the Red Cross at Triangle Park in Maryville. They're accepting pallets and clothing donations there. New Hope Presbyterian Church here in Knoxville. Contact Brother Ron Cashwell there. And then for monetary donations, you can send checks directly to the Red Cross on Middlebrook Pike. Obviously, text 90999, $10 from your cell phone. So those are the main things. And I want to tell you, every dollar raised here stays local.
Okay.
All right.
For people who have questions,
Yes. So that's the latest from the Red Cross.
We are getting word Sevier County schools will be closed tomorrow as well, and that's coming from their website. So if any parents were still unsure, school is canceled for now. I want to send these over to Don Dare. He's been covering the wildfires for us all morning long, he's had some stories, I tell you, of people who have had to get out of harm's way, and just a lot of gratitude this morning. Don, get us up to date on your situation there.
Well, Tirsa and Lori, I just moments ago spoke with Larry Waters. He's the mayor of Sevier County. Let me just give you a brief synopsis of what he told me. He told me about conditions, and he talked about search and rescue. As you know, search and rescue has been going on since late this morning. Helicopters, National Guard, Air National Guard are out there looking for people who were injured. Mayor Waters said people have been injured. Well, I asked him about have there been fatalities. He cannot confirm there have been fatalities at this point. He doesn't know. He's fearful that there may have been, but he's not exactly sure. But definitely there are people who were injured. As far as the conditions go, he said conditions are improving, and that, of course, is what everyone wants to hear in the Gatlinburg area. He says mainly the damage was the surrounding mountains around Gatlinburg, and we know what that is like. We spoke with the manager of Howard's Steakhouse, Michelle Horn. Howard's Steakhouse is in right downtown Gatlinburg. Michelle left there late yesterday afternoon and went back to her apartment. Her apartment is surrounded by the mountains. But Michelle has a new friend that she met at the Red Cross shelter here. Here's what Michelle and her new friend told us just a few moments ago. Michelle, you were at your house last night when the fire came in. What was that like?
I went out early to prepare, and I thought everything was fine, and then the police pounded on the door and said, "You got to go right now." They let me take my dog and what I have on me.
And you left?
There was a fire on my left, in front of me, and on the right of me, and it was raining embers on my head in like a matter of hours. I mean, in like 1 or 2 hours that I wasn't paying attention. And all of a sudden, it was that bad.
It was that quick as well.
Very quick. There's no preparation. If I'd known, I would have at least packed. I mean, everything I've got is they're telling me is gone, that it's all gone.
Your house is gone?
Yeah, that everything's gone. Yeah. So here you are. Yep.
But here you have a friend, Robin?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
So what are you going to do, Robin?
Well, I've offered Michelle a place to stay. I come up here to check on Jim England and his friend Joanne, and I just tell them to come stay at my home because they lost their home in the fire last night.
So you're going to have Michelle as well as your other friends at your house.
I'll take them whoever they want. I've got a camper too they can stay in.
That's right.
A good friend. And Michelle, so you'll be going with Robin?
I'll be going somewhere. Yeah, probably. It's always good to have friends. Hey, I've seen the kindest people in my whole life.
And it's not likely Robin will be going back into her home until the earliest tomorrow, possibly on Thursday, because we're told that downtown Gatlinburg, of course, as you know, is cordoned off right now. The only folks who can go in there are rescue folks. The media went in there just a few hours ago to see what the destruction is like. Robin Wetters, boy, she is a blessing, isn't she, to a lot of people. She's taking 3 people into her campers. Just shows you people helping people here in this devastating wildfire. Back to you.
Oh, Dawn, all right, thank you so much. You know, so many people losing so much, but we were just saying that as of right now, we are so relieved to still be able to tell you officially that there have been no reports of fatalities, and we're so very grateful for that.
And we hope that doesn't change.
We do.
It is amazing looking at the devastation that we've seen.
Oh my goodness.
We do have some folks to keep in your thoughts. We have some folks in critical condition at UT Medical Center, at the Vandy Burn Center.
Yes,
that
missing
number,
people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that number is around 12, about a dozen folks or so that are in the hospital right now. So hopefully that number does not go up.
I hope it doesn't.
Right.
I want to share some good news with you. We just got a press release from Dr. Deborah Klein. She is the Chief Information Officer with the Sevier County School System. And she expresses concern and thanks everyone for their help and expresses concern for displaced students and employees. She also gives us an update on some damage to schools. And apparently, the good news is that school buildings of the impacted areas of Sevier County had minimal damage from fire.
And that's huge.
Now, yes, they did have some wind damage to a roof at Warewood Elementary School, that's in Wares Valley, and some minor wind and smoke damage at Pi Beta Phi Elementary School in the heart of Gatlinburg. That school is so special to so many people. It's been there for an incredibly long amount of time. And sweet little Reagan Morris, rooting for Reagan.
That's
went to
right.
School there. His dad is a teacher and coach there. And so we're so happy to hear that just minor damage there. We have a crew in place, says the school system, and Warewood cleaning up the 4 classrooms that were impacted. So 4 classrooms impacted. Pittman Center Elementary School, Gatlinburg Pittman High School, not damaged at all.
Okay.
And just a pump house at Greenbrier Alternative School had minor damage.
These are all things they can work with.
Yes, so our schools there are okay.
So that is good to know. But again, there will be no school in Sevier County.
Yes.
That is for tomorrow, Wednesday, November 30th. The director of schools, Jack Parton, will continue to evaluate the situation, and we will let you know right here at WATE 6 on your side when school is back on and back in regular operation.
They're really good about making a decision early,
right.
And so they will let us know, and of course, as you said, we will pass that along to you. Once again, let's go back to the Red Cross because we're getting more questions about where to take things. Easiest thing to do is to make a monetary donation. 1-800-RED-CROSS is the number to call, or text Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation from your phone, and then you can also donate online. We've made that really easy for you.
That's right.
Just go to our website, WATE.com. We have a link right there.
And keep in mind, if you're just going about your regular day, maybe you're going to go grocery shopping, we are learning that Kroger is joining in the effort to help those impacted by the fires. Starting today, customers can make donations at all Middle and East Tennessee Kroger stores, as well as Northern Alabama and Southern Kentucky Kroger locations. So this is really a Southern thing right now. They're letting a lot of folks jump in there and help. Each donation is tax deductible and will contribute directly to Red Cross efforts to help. So this is an easy way to chip in as much as you want to the Red Cross. It doesn't have to be $10.
No, it can be anything you want, and we thank everybody so much. There's so many places, businesses, people who have really stepped up to do what they can to help out. So we'll keep you up to date with those donation efforts, and don't forget to go to WATE.com because we're compiling a list of the drop-off locations, donation locations, and all the other information you need to donate in the way that is best for you.
That's right. Coming up around 4 o'clock, we're going to have that update from first responders, from officials, to get that latest update on where everything stands with these fires. Remember, I know you're seeing a lot of the video and the live footage from those evacuation centers, and it looks like things are moving into the next phase, but fire crews are still actively working right now. This thing is still going on.
Yes.
It's not in the scope of last night around midnight.
Thank goodness.
Right.
But as of the earlier briefing, the latest one we've had as we wait for the 4 o'clock hour, and the governor will be here as well, so we'll be hearing from him as well. But 14 separate fires were being worked on. So firefighting, assessment of damage, which will go on for a while, and then the all-important welfare checks, searching for people who may be trapped in their homes, weren't able to get out, or for some folks who've lived in the mountains for a very long time, chose not to leave.
And that does happen.
It does happen.
That absolutely
does
does
happen. So that is what is going on right now. And when we were talking with Brian Beasley, our meteorologist, who bravely went up in the air in a helicopter, you're seeing some of that video right now. He attached a GoPro to the outside of the helicopter and then took some over-the-shoulder camera shots as well. So he really got a great view. What you're looking at right now is what's left of some cabins.
And it's not much.
It's not much at all. You're looking at the foundation from some of those. But he was saying that he could tell by looking at the flames in different spots that 14 sounded about right. From the area that he was able to judge. So hopefully that number will continue to grow smaller.
That's what we'd
the
like
rain
to see.
continues and our firefighting efforts continue.
Right now, those firefighters and those different crews are going door to door to make sure that people are out of those areas. So, you know, so grateful for the work that they are doing, because it is so selfless to be in that situation, away from your family, away from your home, to look out for the community.
Many of them left their burning homes to go help others into literally the line of fire. And we have to mention our Knoxville crews, because Knoxville police have been providing traffic control in some of the roads that have been closed. I think they had more than a dozen officers that they dispatched up here, and they'll be here for as long as need be. And then we also have firefighters here who are providing relief duty and helping with some other things. And we talked with Captain DJ Corcoran earlier today, and he said, hey, as long as we're needed, we're just going to keep rotating our shifts.
It's that volunteer spirit, and we're seeing it all across the area. Knox County, Blount County, Anderson County. It seems like everybody is posting to their different social media pages and outlets saying, hey, here's what we're doing, here's how you can help in our county to get those resources over to severe counties. So again, like Lori said, go to our website, WATE.com. We've got the most accessible and easiest ways for you to give, no matter what county you're in. You don't even have to drive to Sevierville.
No.
Because we have you covered. You can do it right from the comfort of your home.
Yes.
So
what you're looking at right now, just to keep things very clear, we have put together video of what was happening last night, as you mentioned, and then what is happening today. Obviously, the daytime footage is our latest video. This is at the height of the firestorm, and our reporter Jennifer Webb really put it aptly, I thought, earlier when she said, you know, this fire is like dragon fire. And I thought, well, that is such a descriptive way to put it, like a wall of fire in some of the areas, and oh, so close, just too terribly close to so many structures, and we're just hoping that we don't hear of more people who've been injured or worse.
Never thought of this in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. In all of our years, we both have been here a very long time in East Tennessee, and just never seen anything like this for the Gatlinburg area.
And it's such a special place to so many people. I have a friend, Becky Williams and her husband Richard, who moved here from Houston, where we moved here from. They moved here a little bit later than we did, but they decided to retire here in Gatlinburg because that's where her husband vacationed as a child. And you hear that story a lot. I need to check back in with them, but earlier they were at the shelter at LeConte, and they did not know the status of their home. They had 5 minutes to get out of there with the clothes on their back. That's it.
Everybody has a story about the mountain. If you live in East, even if you don't live in East Tennessee, if you vacationed here one time, you've got a connection to this area, and that's what makes it so tough to see some of the areas like when there was concern about Gatlinburg, and to that sigh of relief when it was like, no, that was an error. It has not been burned to the ground. It is fine. I think a lot of folks were just kind of like, okay. You know.
We had lumps in our throats because your kids learned to ski there. I learned how to dodge people on the ski lift.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I got engaged at Clingman's Dome. I mean, I'm a Florida girl. I'm from Miami. So I remember when I first moved here for my interview at WATE. And that was my first time seeing mountains. And I called my dad on my drive over to the station. I was like, Dad, I've never seen anything like this before. And I think everybody says that. You've never seen anything like the Great Smoky Mountains.
Never. And my daughter just a month ago became engaged on Mount LeConte. So, yes.
Everybody has a story. I mean,
it's 6 degrees of separation, or maybe even 2.
Right.
When it comes to this area.
We will rebuild. Things over time will get back to our next level of normal.
You know what we say? Not only volunteer spirit, we're mountain tough.
I like that.
Yeah, I got that.
Mountain tough.
I can't claim it as my own. All right, let's send it on over to Ken Weathers. Ken, you are really watching the next several hours because that's going to determine how these firefighting efforts go to a large extent.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess it's good today, ladies, that we don't have much in the way of wind out there, and so maybe they're getting at least a handle on things, we hope. The problem is the wind will increase a little bit later tonight, and the fire danger does still remain high. If you've not been outside, we do have sunshine right now and relatively dry conditions until the next batch of rain will move through later tonight. We will be weather aware again for tonight as the next round of rain moves through, and even some across the plateau could see some thunderstorms, maybe some damaging wind gusts, something we'll have to watch. Wind not a huge concern into the Smokies right now. Wind gusts are basically the highest wind speed you would see in a 1-minute interval. You know what that is. You're driving down the road and you kind of feel that gust of wind push through. That's what a wind gust is, and that's what these numbers are being reported here. The 1-minute highest wind speed recorded. And we're seeing some pretty gusty winds on the plateau. Had a couple of reports come in through portions of Scott and Fentress County of some winds already starting to pick up there, and that's ahead of the system that will push eastward as we go through the day. So let's focus in on that. Smokies by 6 o'clock, not bad. We're still seeing winds relatively light, much the same through 8 o'clock this evening. But watch how they'll pick up after midnight. This is 11 o'clock, and we're already seeing the ridge tops in that 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gust. Then they really start to increase by 1 o'clock in the morning on through 3 a.m. Even the Gatlinburg area by that time starting to see winds gusting 25, maybe 30 miles per hour through 5 a.m. So relatively quiet now, but late tonight into early tomorrow morning, we will see that wind increase. And by 7 a.m. sunrise, we do have 25, 30 mile per hour wind gusts. Ridge tops all the way down foothills as well. And we'll even be seeing some winds gusting 10 to 25 right here in the valley, even in the Knoxville area. So something we'll keep an eye on. Here's another thing of interest, relative humidity values. Relatively dry right now, 59% humidity by 6 o'clock in Sevierville. It does get a little more moist as we head through the evening hours. This is 8 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock. Notice how the air is getting more saturated. This is what we want to see. It won't be that like last night, as dry as it was across the area. We have that moisture coming into the region, which is great to see. And even through the overnight and early morning hours, we've got relative humidity values in that 80 to 100%, which means that atmosphere is totally saturated, which means we will be seeing some rain. Here's one thing I want to point out. This is like yesterday. We're starting to see what we saw yesterday, that smoke plume back across the area, the Gatlinburg area. But notice the difference. It's more towards the northeast. It's a different wind direction, whereas yesterday it was more from the south to the north. We have a bit of a different wind direction today. Not quite as pronounced as what we saw yesterday, but still impressive enough to where if you can see it on radar, you know you do have some smoke in the atmosphere, and that's what we're seeing. And you can see the latest scan coming in, maybe not quite as pronounced, but still showing that there are some areas of smoke still in the Gatlinburg area. I'll pull back out, and you can see there's not a lot of moisture, at least in the form of rainfall, back to our west, but the clouds are slowly starting to fill in from middle Tennessee as this system pushes towards the north and east. So let's get a timing of when our rain is going to be moving in. I wanted to point this out. There is actually an opportunity for some severe thunderstorms across the southeastern United States today. Our area is under a slight risk across the plateau. What that means, there is the possibility of some thunderstorms moving through that could be severe. Damaging wind gusts appear to be the main threat with that line that would come through the area, so that's what we'd have to watch for. But then that opportunity or the risk decreases the further east you go. So we're not at this point expecting severe weather as we head into the Smokies, but I still think, again, some gusty winds ahead of or with those showers could be an issue late tonight into tomorrow morning. Let me show you the timing of the rain. Quiet through 6 o'clock, so we'll be dry the rest of the day today past sunset. In fact, most areas through midnight are relatively dry. A few scattered showers try to come up the valley and push to the north and east. This is 11 o'clock tonight. This is 1 a.m., but the bulk of the rain is going to be late tonight, early tomorrow morning. This is 4 a.m. and most areas in Blount, Sevier, Cott County are still dry. It's going to be that time frame from 7 a.m. sunrise through about midday that we see our best opportunity for rain making its way through the fire areas, and that continues through lunchtime. So we've got several hours to go before we see the opportunities for rain really return to that region. Now, what about amounts? Let's take a look. Through 12:45, almost 1 a.m., we'll see some quarter-inch amounts west of Knoxville, but trace amounts, if that, over towards the fire areas. This is 8 a.m. Look at the rain really starting to show up. 1 to 2 inch amounts for the plateau. That pushes eastward, and by tomorrow afternoon, maybe we will be seeing some 1 to 2 inch amounts across the higher elevations of the Smokies down through the foothills locations as well. That would be great to see those amounts of rain push through the area. What also is good is the 7-day forecast, because I wanted to show you this. Pretty quiet as we head through the evening hours. It'll be after sunset before the rain opportunities move in, but the best chance for showers after tomorrow is actually going to return as we head through the weekend. Late Saturday through about midday Tuesday, so about a 48 to almost 72-hour period of opportunities of rain, some cooler temperatures as well, and it looks like some of the forecast models, the winds won't be quite an issue as well. So this is kind of the best case scenario we have after the overnight and early tomorrow morning rains. But again, my biggest concern tonight into tomorrow morning before the rains get back into the Smokies, ladies, is going to be the strong wind potential. But again, the difference is there's more moisture in the atmosphere compared to last night. So good and bad situation. The winds won't be as strong. There's a little bit more moisture, but it doesn't take much wind. Still a lot of fuel in the areas where we've not seen burns that could really make those fires get out of control quickly. And it's a different wind direction today as well. So we'll keep a close eye on this and have more updates in a few minutes.
Oh, boy. All right. We just hope the wind goes the right direction.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
Keep things calm and cool. We want to bring you up to date now on the Sevier County Humane Society and let you know it has safely evacuated all of the animals from the county shelter, and they are now safe.
A lot of folks were really concerned about this because, you know, people, they think of, you know, fleeing or evacuating, and there's not time to get all of those animals. Well, they were able to make that happen. We have also learned that the organization has put together an emergency shelter for pets of families displaced by the wildfires. The emergency shelter is located at the Sevier County Fairgrounds. That is 754 Old Knoxville Highway in Sevierville. They've organized the emergency shelter with the assistance from Brother Wolf Animal Rescue out of Asheville, North Carolina. Thank you to them.
Yes.
And to the Humane Society of Tennessee Valley. Thank you to them as well.
Banding together.
That's
once again for our little pets. You know, if you have a pet at home, you cannot imagine.
It's a family member for us.
Yes, absolutely. They're going to have staff and volunteers on site around the clock to receive and care for animals. Right. And if you would like to send supplies for these evacuee pets at the emergency shelter, what they can use is Purina dog or cat food, leashes, harnesses, bedding, cleaning supplies. Donations can be dropped off at the fairgrounds or at Sevierville PetSmart or Sevierville Pet Sense. And you can also ship them to the Sevier County Fairgrounds because everybody has a feeling this need is going to go on for a while.
Right. This is not a day or two thing.
No, people who are displaced have some decisions to make. So it's good to have their pets cared for while they're in this mode.
Glad they could do this.
Yes.
Let's take you now. We've been watching Mark Nagy with TDOT all morning long. He has been giving us that behind-the-scenes look at all the efforts our TDOT crews have been going through. I mean, look at the work they are doing right now. Again, they are working on those Gatlinburg fires, clearing the roadways so they can stay open for emergency personnel, and that is a very important need this morning, clearing back those trees and debris.
Oh, trees across the road, trees that have fallen on power lines, and then all of the burned out structures that Mark showed us earlier. Our hats off to Mark for really giving us an up-close look at some of the devastation that no one else has been able to get to.
You know, and all the video he's been posting, what's been so just astonishing is the roadways off on the sides usually are still smoldering. In a lot of the video he's been showing, I mean, it's been what, since yesterday that this has been happening? You think by now it kind of died down, but
no,
as you can see, the work's still there.
Yeah, in many spots they're just trying to tamp that down and hope it stays that way. We want to check now back in with Marshall Hughes. He's at the LeConte Center, which has been serving as a shelter since the wee hours of the morning.
That's right, Lori. I want to bring in Sarah Basil. She's the Regional Communications Director for the American Red Cross. She got in from Nashville about an hour ago. Sarah, what can you assess since you've been at the LeConte Center?
Well, I've talked to a couple of people, and really positive energy going on right now. I know a lot of people are unsure of what's happened to their home and what's going to happen in the future, but the Red Cross is here. We have around 130 people at this shelter right now. We're feeding, providing food and water and support to those who need it.
I've talked to just yourself as well as other volunteers who say that while water and supplies are great, you said that it is better, I guess, in your opinion, to give a monetary donation. Explain that.
That's right. We have plenty of in-kind donations right now. We thank the community for coming out and bringing those. But the best way that you can support the Red Cross right now is by making a financial donation. And you can do so by texting Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation, by going to redcross.org, or by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Okay. I know we've also set things up on WATE.com. Anything else you can tell us about the LeConte Center and people that you see coming in? Obviously, you just getting here within the last hour. This is still something that we're seeing is continuing to grow here.
Well, the great thing about the Red Cross is that we prepare for disasters in advance. So we're prepared to be here in this community for as long as needed.
Okay, so you think you could be here for several days, you said?
Sure, absolutely. It just depends on how long we're needed here.
Okay, and how long have you been with the Red Cross for?
I've been with the Red Cross for about 2 years.
2 years, and this is probably the biggest thing that you've had to assist in, right?
This is one of the largest disasters I've seen in Tennessee in the past couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Again, we're at the LeConte Center. Volunteers, so many of them, as well as so many people coming in. I think we just saw a family reunite for the first time behind us, and so that's definitely a great positivity to see moving forward. Lori.
All right, Marshall, thank you. We'll get more information on that family in just a moment so we can share that story with you. In the meantime, just talking about the Red Cross, so if you'd like to donate that way, you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS or text to 90999 to make a $10 donation, and then you can also donate online. We have a link for you on our website, WATE.com, and if you donate to the Red Cross here locally, every dollar stays here locally.
Which is great to hear.
Yes.
Well, you know, you're listening to Marshall talk about that family reuniting. Imagine, and I think any parent can relate to this, when you're in a store and you can't find your kid.
Oh,
or
it's the worst.
It's the longest 2, 3, 4 minutes of your life. So imagine for these folks who can't contact their loved ones.
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine. So glad there are some good stories coming out and people being reunited.
We're so glad. You know, it's been a very long day for these families, though. Look how long they've had to wait. These fires were 8:30, 9 o'clock last night.
Right.
So, you know, it's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So sleepless nights for sure.
And looking at Marshall's live shot when he was there with the Red Cross representative, and behind him seeing those tables that are set up, all of that, just clothing and new donations that people have been bringing in so that folks can change. I mean, think about it. If you just leave your house, you haven't had time to have a shower, that nighttime shower, that, you know, to get ready for your next day.
Exactly.
So for a lot of folks to get those fresh clothing and soap and other toiletries is just, you know, can't imagine.
And one thing that a lot of people don't think about is we look at that flag whipping around in the winds that were just so high. Medications. Always
yes.
keep them in one central location in the event of an emergency. Don't have some in the bathroom, some in the kitchen, some here or there. Keep them in one basket, and that way you can grab and go.
You know, I said that earlier. This has been a horrible reminder, a very stern reminder about having that go bag, not just for you, but for your pets. To make sure you have their stuff as well, so that if you do have to grab and go, you've got everything, you know, medications, like you said, all the things you take for granted, you don't really think about, you just kind of do them.
But if you go without, you're in trouble.
That's right.
In many cases. But, you know, we keep go bags.
Well, yeah, for
in our
work.
cars for work, and so it's just an extension of that to have on hand.
But it's a reminder to refreshen that bag, go ahead and look at it and get it ready for the kids and so forth.
Right.
You're looking at some video. I know we've been talking about this all morning long with the great work all of these different community groups have been doing, the Red Cross, different local businesses stepping up to help out all those folks. All these people you see here have been evacuated from their homes, from the pets on down to the seniors. Needed a place to go, and it was just a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. Get your stuff and go. And for some folks, I know we were talking about the, I can't think of the name, the Hilton Hotel. We saw that devastating fire, and the folks were inside, where they were told, hey, you've got time. Let's go ahead and evacuate. And then within 5 minutes, they were like, no, go back inside. The road is impassable. You cannot.
That's how quickly these things happen, and we're learning that firsthand as we look at some of the folks who are at the shelters. At one point at the Rocky Top shelter, which is in Gatlinburg, there were, I believe, more than 2,000 people, 14,000 people displaced in Gatlinburg. Many had relatives to go to, hotel rooms to go to in Sevierville. Many people ended up at Wilderness of the Smokies and places like that on down as you head into Knoxville. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of folks are staying in Knoxville as well.
And speaking of that mad dash to get out of there, I just got a tweet from one of our viewers, Nicole Fry. She wanted to know any updates on Michael Reed. He is that father that we told you about all morning long, who's separated from his wife and 2 daughters. There is still no good news for them. We've gotten no update. He's gotten no update. We've been in contact with him, but he's still missing his wife and his girls.
We will let you know just as soon as we hear something.
It's been rough.
A lot of you asking first and foremost about Michael Reed and his family, and also if you're just now joining us, also about Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies and those 10,000 animals they have. And apparently all the animals are fine, as we've been reporting, and they took measures to make sure they were safe when they had to get out of there quickly. Okay, we're
got
just
some
hearing
breaking
we have
news.
breaking news, and it's bad news.
This is related to the weather, not directly to the fire, but because of the weather we've gotten in this area. We've just learned an Alcoa city worker has been killed as a result of restoring electricity. Again, this Alcoa city employee apparently last night was doing work. You know, we had all that wind and power was out. Well, he was hit by a falling tree while working in the Hughes Loop area. So just not the update we want to hear from that. Let's see if we can get some more.
His name was Brian Huffstetler, 29 years old. He was taken to Blunt Memorial Hospital by Rural Metro Ambulance Service, but sadly he was pronounced dead a short time later. And again, the investigation revealed he was hit really hard. He died as a result of blunt force trauma.
That's right, and he was doing what a lot of us take for granted. When those crews go out there, we usually don't really see them. We just wait for the power to come back on, and that's what he was doing. He was out there working Monday evening to restore that electricity service in the Hughes Loop Road area of Blount County, and he was apparently in the process of climbing a utility pole when he was struck by that falling tree. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. So young, 29 years old.
And you know, we understand Brian is survived by his wife Katie, and they have 2 children. Also his parents, Rick and Mary Alice. And you know, we've already heard from some of his friends and coworkers, and they tell us they want everybody to know that he was a dedicated, energetic, enthusiastic employee who's going to be greatly missed, and they ask for prayers for the family. And of course, we share our prayers and our thoughts with the family.
Oh, what an update to give you this afternoon. There's been so much that we've been learning over the last really 12 hours or so, because our coverage didn't start off this way. This started off as just another wildfire. We've had so many over the past few months. This has started out as, oh my gosh, there's a fire in the Smokies.
It just took that, what I have come to call a bizarre turn.
Right.
Circumstances were just right, or I guess in this case just wrong enough to create what the Smoky Mountains Park Superintendent called the perfect storm. And that may sound like a cliche, but really that's the best way to put it, the perfect storm, a firestorm. And then he said, we've been snake bit. and he said, we're talking about cash is cash.
Right.
I've got a quote from him earlier, and he said, you know, there are so many fires that I've been a part of. This one is the most complex. Because it's here. It's here.
Right.
It's on this ridge. It's down here.
It's not one directional.
It's so
you know, it's not
elusive.
moving east to west or
Right.
north to south. It's been a tough one,
Yeah.
and it's in the mountains, which is a whole nother beast within itself
Exactly.
to try to fight a fire there. So we'll continue to watch it. Again, we have that 4 o'clock update coming. That's in about an hour. We will continue to carry that online. We will also have it for you here on air. Don't forget, this is a great reminder to go ahead and get our app for your tablet, for your phone. You'll get those push alerts so you don't necessarily have to try to seek out the information. It will come to you, and that makes life very, very easy.
Yes,
more
we push
convenient.
it out to you, and you can choose what you want.
Right.
News, sports, weather, or all of
Traffic,
them.
all of it.
Traffic, everything. You can custom design it for your needs. But in this case, we are having so many people ask us about news and what's going on. So,
you know, our reporters have been fanned out over the area all morning and overnight. Whitney Good, who has been there all morning long, she's near the spur, and she was talking about how it's, you know, blocked in Pigeon Forge. We know that. Well, she's saying that National Guard trucks have now just gone through.
Okay.
She says there's still a very strong smoke smell here, which is going to obviously linger for a while. But it's good to see that we are starting to get that help. The National Guard coming in. We've had those Black Hawk helicopters that are dropping water on the area, and that is much needed assistance for our local crews.
some real muscle to add to an already really strong effort to fight these fires. Let me tell you
And
more
technology.
about the Tennessee Army National Guard assisting in the wildfires. We're talking more than 120 Tennessee Army National Guard soldiers that are mobilizing in East Tennessee. So that's going to make a real dent, that's for sure.
My goodness. If you're just joining us right now, we're getting you up to date on the devastation that is going on in the Gatlinburg area. Hundreds of acres destroyed by a fire that quickly moved in since late last night. If you were just with WATE-6 on your side for our early evening shows, you know, you're probably going, what do you mean?
Yeah.
This has just exploded into a huge and horrible fire that is really just taxing our local crews that are trying their best to get under control.
It really is, and it's heart-wrenching for some of the people who have gone through this. As we've been talking about, many had just minutes to get out of there, and some people had their cars catch fire as they were trying to make their exodus to get out of harm's way. And we understand most of those folks are okay, but what a scary, terror-filled, traumatic situation as you're driving along and then you see those flames so close on the side of the road. And this is our first look from the air from our vantage point. We did get some views from 36,000 feet up from a United Airlines pilot, but this one is from our own Ryan Beasley, who took this video overlooking Wears Valley, Gatlinburg, and you can see just utter devastation and the smoke that is still smoldering, fires that are still smoldering if you look really closely there. He did not see any intense flames, but he told us he saw plenty of what is left of what had been some beautiful homes.
Absolutely. Very, very strong, sturdy, large homes. I mean, we're talking about a fire that just came through and cleared out this area. We should note the governor has already tweeted out via Twitter that he is headed to Gatlinburg to meet with state, local, fire, public safety officials. He says that we're going to do all we can to help these communities rebuild and recover. The state is providing coordinated resources, including the National Guard, to help Gatlinburg, all those affected by devastating fires in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. You know, he's the governor of the state of Tennessee, but you got to think this story for him has to be a little bit more personal, being that he was, you know, mayor of Knoxville.
That's right, and from this area.
That's right.
And the family has a home in Walland, and so it's I'm sure it hits very, very close to home. And quite frankly, when we have utter devastation of this magnitude, it's comforting to have our governor come in and spend some time with folks and recognize the job that firefighters and other emergency crews are doing, and hopefully, and this is usually his way, take time to spend with some of the families and some of the folks who've been displaced and let them know that help is on the way. We have talked about some FEMA grant money that's going to be coming, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure there is a lot more, because we're talking a lot of dollars in damage, and it's too soon to even try to speculate what that's going to be.
Damage, manpower. You know, labor's not free.
No.
And we need to pay those that are helping to fight these fires. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
We're continuing to look at some of that helicopter footage, and I have to say, Ryan Beasley was explaining to me that this was a rocky trip on this helicopter because flying over smoke is akin to flying through clouds when you're on an airplane, and you know how it gets really rocky and bumpy. That's kind of what he was going through today. But he wanted to go up there, he wanted to see so he could explain to us what we're looking at, and what you're looking at right now is his vantage point from that chopper looking down over Wears Valley and Gatlinburg right there, and over Gatlinburg as well.
At this time, we want to check back in with Marshall Hughes. You know, earlier, if you were with us just a few minutes ago, from the evacuation center that he was at LeConte, he was talking about how he had just witnessed a family that was reunited, which is the kind of news we want. We want to bring you more of those stories. We really do.
And we want the story behind it. So, Marshall, what have you been able to find out from those folks?
Yeah, Lori, Tirsa, obviously what I saw was a hug that symbolized what looked like two sisters hugging. I will say these are friends. They all live in the same neighborhood, as you would say it, in Gatlinburg. This is Brenda as well as Jesse and Trudy. And Jesse, I saw you hugging Brenda. This is the first time right now that you've actually seen her since last night. Explain that.
Yeah, it was just an awesome sight to see some familiar people and faces, you know, friends that I've been with for the last year and a half that I've lived here in Gatlinburg.
And just the emotion, Brenda, I saw it from you as well, to see your friend that you've known for so long, you know, obviously a lot of emotion for you as well right now.
Yeah, when I first moved to Gatlinburg, she was the only one that would help me. I didn't know if they got out last night. I had to leave in a hurry. I couldn't call her, couldn't contact her. And then I had just got done asking, please tell me the girls got out okay. The boy said, I don't know. Last time I did, they heard him, and I turned the corner, and there was. I was like, that's my son's best friends. They have been since we lived here. Yeah. And, yeah, I haven't even seen my own daughter since this happened. She's 22. She lived at Ski View with me. So I don't know if she's actually okay. Something happened. I'm hoping to hear, but, yeah.
You haven't been able to contact her at all?
No, she won't answer my calls. I don't know if she feels guilty because she left us there or what, but yeah, it's scary because I do have a 9-month-old. I have a 3-year-old, so it's kind of, you know, she's my oldest, but I'm pretty sure she's okay.
Yeah.
I prayed all night last night that she is. I'm just glad I got out. I'm glad everybody I love got out. I know my other two close friends, which is Steve and Hoss. They're both okay. They're like my brothers. I watch her kids. She watches mine. But yeah, we've been like family ever since we've known each other.
This is a scene that we've continued to see since I've been here. A lot of friends as well as family members seeing each other. Jesse, for you, is everybody that you know is close to you, friends-wise, are they doing okay right now?
As far as I know, yes, they're doing okay. I mean, I haven't heard from everybody yet, but you know, where we work, they're really a tight and close as well, and they're trying to keep tabs on us all as well.
Yeah. You were also talking about Trudy right here, and you said that your husband actually went last night to actually have to save her.
Yes, he did. He went down to save her. She texted me on Facebook to say, how fast do you think Mark can get to the house? And I said, I don't know what's going on. And she says, we were just told we had to get our stuff and go. So my husband didn't even think twice, and he left. And as he left to go and get them, he rushed out of the house, couldn't see, made it to Trudy's house, and as they were coming back, he pulled up in the driveway with me watering down our property that I had been trying to save. And they say that it's still there, but I'm not sure if it is, because when we went back into Gatlinburg, they said we couldn't go back to see.
Right. Trudy, to have her husband come and you know, do his best to make sure you're safe, that obviously has to mean a lot.
It does. And Jessica and Mark and the kids, they mean so much to me, and I'm glad that we all got out and that everybody is safe.
obviously a tight-knit community here, you know, not only just here in Pigeon Forge, but also where these three women live in Gatlinburg. So glad that y'all three are safe. I know prayers are going up around East Tennessee right now for your daughter. Hopefully you can reunite with her soon. Right now we're at the LeConte Center. Marshall Hughes, WATE 6 on your side. Lori, Tirsa.
All right, Marshall, thank you so much for sharing that story. Boy, you can tell they're still in a state of shock and just so happy and grateful to be reunited. You know, true friendship and family and all those most important things really come to the fore when you go through something like this.
A lot of raw emotion there.
Yeah.
You can tell it's going to take a few days to digest this one and try to get back to normal. My goodness. Glad that they were able to be reunited. You know, all morning long we've been getting your comments on social media. Folks are still looking for friends and for family members, and we are getting one of those this afternoon. Mariah Palmer is saying on our Facebook page that she is looking for a family friend named Don McElia, hopefully I'm saying his last name
or McEllier.
McEllier, who lives in Gatlinburg. She heard from him yesterday morning and he was okay, but has not heard from him since.
She says she's been trying to call him since last night and has not been able to get through. Her friend has a few medical conditions. She's terrified because she can't get a hold of him. She's checked the Red Cross Shelter Registry, which is a really good way to help people find you.
That's right.
And we understand that everyone in the shelters, at least at LeConte, has signed into that registry, but they did not find a listing for him. So take a good look at Don's picture. Don, I believe McEllier.
Okay.
If you know him or see him, please let us know here at the station, and we'll get in touch with her and let her know. Hope he's okay.
I hope so too. That's for a lot of folks right now looking for friends and family. Let us know what we can do to help. Well, thousands of people forced out of their home, all because of the fire tonight or this afternoon. One man continuing to search for his family. And this story has touched a lot of folks. We've gotten a lot of messages about this man.
Really resonating with so many people. We heard from Michael Reed earlier this morning, around 7 o'clock this morning at that LeConte shelter in Pigeon Forge. We just checked back in with him. I am sorry to say he still has not been able to get hold of his wife and 2 daughters after they had to evacuate. So take a look at their pictures. This is Chloe. She just turned 12 a few days ago. That was her with her birthday cake. This is Michael's wife, Constance. And then we have a picture of Michael with his little daughter, Lily, who's 9 years old. Now, the last time we heard from his wife, he heard from his wife, was around 8:15 last night when things were really turning. Yes, and she says she called him to tell him about the flames getting closer to their home. We'll let you know.
Yeah, a lot of folks rooting for them to just, you know, let this just be a misunderstanding for now. She just can't get to a phone and they can all get together, because to not only not be able to know where your wife is, but your 2 little girls too. I mean, we're rooting for him, for them.
We really are. All right, let's send it back over to WATE 6 on your side, meteorologist Ken Weathers, who's keeping us up to date with the weather we can expect over the next few hours and its impact on fighting those remaining fires.
Yeah, guys, we're not out of the woods yet. It's quiet today, which is nice. We have dry weather, sunshine. Wind is relatively light, but it looks like the wind is going to be picking up again overnight. We've been stressing this all day, so the fire danger is going to remain high. We'll go back under weather aware later this afternoon into this evening. More rain is expected, thankfully, late tonight and tomorrow. It looks like it may be slowing down just a little bit, but we will get it eventually. And there could be some storms for the plateau, so there's a lot going on weather-wise that we're going to have to cover as we go through the afternoon into the evening hours. Wind gust at this hour, 3 o'clock hour, not bad. We're seeing some of those 18, 19 mile per hour wind gusts from Tellico Plains over to Crossville, but not bad over towards the Smokies. That will change, though, later today into tonight. Let's focus in on the Smokies. From 6 o'clock tonight, you notice the winds are fairly light. Gatlinburg, Pittman Center staying that way through 8 o'clock this evening, on and through 11 o'clock. But notice how the higher ridge tops started to see those winds gusting 20, 25 miles per hour by 11 o'clock. Then those winds get a little lowered into the surface, especially by tomorrow morning. This is 1 a.m. This is 3 a.m. That's when the winds are really starting to pick up. 34 Tremont, 25 Townsend, 17 Cosby, 13 in Hartford. So the winds will increase late tonight towards daybreak tomorrow. This is 5 a.m. 34 Tremont, 30 in Gatlinburg, 31 in Townsend. So winds could be an issue. We've been saying this all along as we go late tonight into tomorrow morning. Latest, just updated now, we do have a new high wind watch. This will be upgraded to a high wind warning for the higher elevations of the Smokies, which means winds could gust over 60 miles per hour. That's above about 3,500 feet. But even foothills locations will see that as well. I think we could be seeing those 30, 40, maybe as high as 50-mile-per-hour winds, which we've been showing you on 6 timeline there with the forecast wind speeds. Earlier today, we also saw this, the smoke plume returning across the area. We showed you this yesterday, where you could actually see the plume of smoke, but it was moving more in a northerly direction. The difference today, winds are out of the southwest, so we're seeing those winds stretching that smoke plume further towards the north and east. It's kind of dying back down a little bit now, as you can see, but still interesting to see the wind direction change here. Let's go back to the west. I wanted to show you this. We've got sunshine all the way back to the middle part of the state. Notice the rain just starting to move into southeastern sections of Arkansas. This has more of a spring-like feel to it. This weather pattern shaping up. In fact, notice this, just been upgraded, a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms across much of Mississippi. Tornadic type thunderstorms possible there. Want to get a little closer to where we are, though. We're not expecting that, but some areas along the plateau could see some damaging wind gusts as we go later this evening into the overnight hours as that line of thunderstorms come through. While here in the valley, we're just under a marginal risk, and there is no risk over towards the Smokies and northeast Tennessee. So something we'll keep an eye on for sure. So let's talk about the timing of this. Pretty quiet through 6 o'clock this evening on in through 9. Clouds will increase a little bit, but most areas will stay dry. Notice by the time we get to 11 o'clock, we see a few scattered showers across the plateau, but still relatively quiet even through 11 o'clock over into the Smokies. By 1 a.m., we see maybe a few passing showers come through. Let's advance this on to 4 o'clock. And there's that line of showers starting to work its way across the plateau, down through the valley, and then this whole line will slowly push eastward. So really overnight tonight through daybreak tomorrow, limited rain opportunities for the fire areas. It's going to come later than that, and then we'll see that relief. This is by 10 o'clock in the morning. Maybe a little quick, but I still think after sunrise through early afternoon is going to be the best opportunity for rain for the areas over towards the burn regions. So again, until then, we've got dry conditions, and we're going to see those winds increase overnight into tomorrow, guys. Something we'll have to keep a very close eye on.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Ken. We want to let you know that President-elect Donald Trump tweeting in just the last 5 minutes about our situation here in Tennessee.
He says, "My thoughts and prayers are with the great people of Tennessee during these terrible wildfires. Stay safe."
All right. Again, that coming in under 5 minutes ago. We'll keep you posted on other things that we hear from our other office holders on social media. We now want to send it over to Don Dare, who's been spending the day talking with so many people who have incredible stories to tell. Don, you're going to bring us up to date with what's happening right now over there.
That's right, Lori. You know, Ken has been talking about the wind conditions tonight, about the high fire danger. That is exactly what folks here are worried about. Firefighters are worried about it. City people are worried about it. Forestry tells us, the Division of Forestry tells us, the fires are contained. They are contained right now, but if those winds pick up, as Ken has been saying that they will tonight, that is a grave concern for the firefighters. Larry Waters, he is the mayor of Sevier County. He told me just about an hour ago conditions are improving, but he too, like everyone else here, is concerned about the pickup in the wind. And that, of course, would fan the flames here. As you can see behind me, well, it's tough to see behind me because it looks like the old Smoky Mountains, but it is smoke up there. But there are some embers everywhere around the mountains of Gatlinburg. And, you know, people here are helping other people. Emerald City Ministries is a shelter just outside of Gatlinburg that helps young mothers. But they want to open their shelter to everyone if their shelter is in place. They're not sure if their shelter is there, but we talked moments ago with Reverend Waddell. He's the founder of Emerald City Ministries. You don't know if your building is still standing.
We don't know. We're worried to death. We're trying to make a plan on how we're going to give things away and give people food and clothes and diapers and hygiene products, but we can't make a plan until we know what we have is still there or not.
If your building is there, what will be your plan, Doc?
Our plans will be to open the doors and give everything that we have free. There will be no charge to nobody for anything. We've got other sources that's going to bring stuff in here. We've got diapers, hygiene products, clothes, shoes, medical equipment. We've got wheelchairs that people need. We just they can have it. We just got to get to it.
When you look around here, Doc, here at the Red Cross Center, what do you see?
It's horrifying. It is. I've heard stories in here of the people. It's like a terrorist act. Nobody knows what to do. They're confused. They don't know where to go. They need people to hug them and say, look, it's not that bad. We can help you. And that's what we're here to do.
And when you know that your store is open, your doors will be open.
The doors will be open and everything is free. We're working with Second Harvest right now. They're going to furnish us food, and I think it'll just stay this way. I don't think I'll ever go back to anything. It'll just be a total free store from now on.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And let me tell you one thing, there have been an awful lot of hugs exchanged here today at the Red Cross shelter, which is right behind us. Hundreds of people at the shelter, hundreds of people displaced. And we're going to know a little bit more because I believe in about 45 minutes there's going to be an update, a news conference. So at that news conference, we'll know exactly what's going on here in the Gatlinburg area. Lori and Tirsa, back to you.
Thank you so much, Don. Yes. You know, the stories that Don has gotten for us throughout the day have just simply been heartbreaking, but there's so much gratitude from so many folks that despite leaving their home and maybe not even having a home this morning, they're just grateful for the gift of life this morning, to be able, this afternoon, to be able to speak with him and to be present.
I was just going to say that because I think Don, because of just who Don is as a person and a human being and a great Christian man, was able to provide comfort whether he knows it or not.
Right.
You know, he's so humble.
Oh, yeah.
But I think people saw him and they wanted to hug him, you know, and I think he was able to provide that comfort. So I think that's a good thing. You saw it on people's faces.
Oh, absolutely. Folks are just happy to have made it out this thing alive. I think last night provided for some very tense moments that a lot of folks in East Tennessee never thought they would even be in the position to be in. We think of California,
you think of
having
other
those
places,
fires. That doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen here. We do have some breaking news that we've been covering for you in the last 30 minutes or so. We have just a devastating announcement. An Alcoa City worker has been killed. The Alcoa City manager letting us know, as well as the Blount County Sheriff, that 29-year-old Brian Huff Settler was killed while working. He's one of the utility workers.
One of the line workers, and sadly, he was killed after being struck by a falling tree. He was working as part of a trouble crew in the area of Hughes Loop Monday evening. Last night, he was, we found out, taken to Blount Memorial Hospital by Rural Metro following the accident, and sadly he was pronounced dead a short time later.
Yeah, just doing his routine work, going up the line, trying to help get that power back to customers, and an unfortunate turn of events. A very young man, 29 years old. He leaves behind a wife as well as 2 kids, mom and father. So this has been a tough announcement for that utility company to give out, knowing that his coworkers are grieving, his family is grieving this morning. But he was doing what they do, and we often take a lot of first responders, these linemen and women, these firefighters, all these folks that go out of harm's way, these police officers in times like this, they do dangerous work and don't always come home.
No, they don't, and they often don't get thanks. And so here's our chance to say thank you to those who really risk life and limb in protecting us and getting our power back on, protecting our homes from fire, protecting our streets, you know, the evacuated streets, keeping people from getting in. You know, there is still the call for folks to not try to get into some of the areas that were previously evacuated if you don't live there, because they're still trying to assess damage. There's still smoke in the area.
There's some trees on the road.
See you, and trees could still fall as well. So it's just a dangerous situation. Leave it to us to get pictures from the scene, or people who are working or living in the area and are already there. Trust me, we will do that, and we'd rather you stay safe.
And we do it safely. We go under the direction of the police officers. A lot of times they take us in, and they have the best route. So let us get that information for you. I want to show you, if we can, some images that we're getting. Mark Nagy tweeting out this, showing what a difference an hour can make. And you recognize this sign. This is one of the signs going into Gatlinburg.
And look at the American flag there now.
1 hour later, somebody posted that just after he got that photo earlier. A lot of resolve. A lot of folks, you know, the mayor of Gatlinburg saying that we will rebuild. And we will. We will.
Yes. The first picture, by the way, just to give you a timeline, was taken at 9:50 this morning. The second at 2:50 this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, not long
Not
after
long,
saw that and acted. That gives you chills.
It does. It does. You know, we've been on this story all morning long, overnight. Ryan Beasley even went up in a helicopter to give us that aerial footage because that's the hardest part about this is seeing the video from the ground. It doesn't give you the scope of the damage. And just take a look. And this really paints the picture for just this area alone.
Yes.
You can see just how bad homes gone down to the foundation.
Down to the foundation, all those white spots there, and then you still see smoke and smoldering embers, if you will, indicative of a fire that is not completely out.
This video is from later on this morning, I should say. I think he went out around 9 or 10 o'clock, but he just got back in within the last hour or so and got us that video using a GoPro camera as well as one of our just regular over-the-shoulder cameras.
Shooting over the shoulder, yes. He couldn't wait to go up to be able to show us Wares Valley, which was one of the hardest hit areas, and then also, of course, Gatlinburg, and then you know, the Ober-Gatlinburg area, and then some of the homes that we're accustomed to driving along, looking up and seeing those beautiful homes, wondering who lives there. Right. You know, is that a restaurant or a house? It's so big.
A lot of them are gone.
They are, and that's just so heartbreaking. My daughters, who are grown now, as you know, my oldest daughter texted me today, and she's a big skier, big outdoor buff, loves to hike. As I mentioned, my younger daughter was just engaged at Mount LeConte. We love the mountains and love to visit as a family. And my oldest daughter said, "Are they forever changed?" And I said, well, you know, nature has a way of rebuilding.
That's right. A fire doesn't necessarily end the landscape of the mountains.
Right.
It will regenerate itself over time.
We just have to be patient.
Right. It won't be the scene we're used to seeing for a while in a lot of those areas, but give it time, generations to come, it will be fine. It will be fine.
We have to tell you about some extra support that has been out there. The 1-230th Assault Helicopter Battalion at McGee-Tyson Air Base has been flying missions today for the wildfires and for people. 3 Black Hawks flew to Gatlinburg Airport today, operating out of that airport. 2 of them are dropping water. The other is for rescue operations. They actually have a hoist to be able to retrieve people. Another helicopter, it's a Lakota UH-72, and it's from Nashville. It's equipped with communications gear and forward-looking infrared, so they can hopefully find what they're looking for on the ground.
And this is amazing. You know, we always talk about East Tennessee. It's one of those places where some parts of our area, you got to know the back roads. You've got to know, you know, it's not, you're not going to get on Google Maps and just figure, you know, so for them to be able to go from the sky and get people who may not be able to get down the roadway to the main road, this will be huge help for our area. So we're very grateful for that.
That is quite something. And, you know, we have a timeline of how this fire spread. Many of you are asking, was it arson? We don't know.
Right. They've got to investigate.
Yes, we do know. We told you about how a fire erupted in the Smoky Mountains, and then the strong gust from last night pushed the flames from the chimney top fire, which had been building, onto private property, and from there it just went wild.
And this was fast. I remember I was watching the evening shows, and you all were talking about a fire, and I was like, oh, okay. Didn't even pay it that much mind. Then at 11 o'clock, I tuned in, and it was just kind of like, wait a minute, this whole thing has changed. And by morning time, just absolutely devastating.
Yes, what we woke up to. And I know I had gone home, and then, you know, you always remember what you were doing, where you were, and how you handled the news. But we got the news. I left here as I usually do at 6:45. And got home, and at about 8:30, we learned that Gatlinburg was being evacuated. So I hightailed it back here to the station and decided that we would start covering in the morning, that we already had crews overnight. But
established over the area.
Yes. So fortunately, we've been able to have our eyes and ears on the ground there. And you're looking there at Westgate Resorts.
This has been such a topic of conversation on social media. Westgate Resorts, huge property, lots of cabins, big tourist draw for our area for folks that want to enjoy, want to enjoy the area. And quite a few of their buildings, many, are destroyed from the fire. This is from a viewer who actually went through and was driving through and was able to show us that daylight footage. And this is actually where he worked as well. Mr. Molina.
Hector Molina.
Hector Molina.
Yes, we want to thank him very much. And you can see some of the burned out areas here and the roadways where the fire just ravaged that area. I'm not sure specifically where this is, if this is still part of the resort, but nothing is left. of what once stood there, and a car was burned as well. Governor Bill Haslam, as we've been mentioning, is expected to address the public coming up today in about 30 minutes. He announced at 3 o'clock that he was well on his way to our area. He will be speaking along with other officials expectedly at the Anna Porter Library. It's kind of been the hub of where all of this has been, all the announcements have been taking place, and that is in Gatlinburg, kind of by Rocky Top World, the sports complex there. And the governor says this: the destruction caused by the wildfires in East Tennessee is tragic. Our hearts go out to all those affected in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and throughout the Smoky Mountains.
That's right. He goes on to say, one of our state's most treasured national resources. We will do all we can in the coming days and weeks to help these communities rebuild and recover. The state has worked with local officials to provide a coordinated multi-agency response to help evacuate residents and visitors and contain the fires. And we are grateful to the emergency personnel who have worked tirelessly to help in these efforts. And there has been a lot of work by those emergency personnel, from medical personnel to first responders who are on the ground doing their part. And they're still working now. I mean, I can't imagine if we're remotely tired from providing coverage. I can't even imagine being out there in that smoke and the heat and trying to get things back to some sense of normalcy.
At least 12 hours at a stretch.
Right.
You know, it's just really hard to even fathom, and so our thanks once again to all of our crews who are working out there. Another hard-working group is our team of scientists, our storm team, who's been tracking this weather, called the high winds, called the rain, and had said it might complicate things. So we want to go back to Ken Weathers now, our meteorologist, who is keeping an eye on perhaps a second round that we might need to be a little bit concerned about at this point. Ken.
News that we're going to get the rain. Bad news is before it gets here, the winds are probably going to pick up once again across the area. So the fire danger is going to remain high rest of today through tonight and possibly into early tomorrow before the rains do arrive in those areas. But we will see more rain for tonight. We'll go back to weather aware tonight through the day tomorrow. And another thing we're going to have to keep an eye on, possibility of storms for the plateau. This is a very spring-like system setting up. That's why it's so warm today with temperatures in the 60s, even some low 70s around. Could lead to some thunderstorms for the plateau. Wind, again, not a huge concern over towards the mountains right now, but we are seeing some gust, especially west, in that 10 to 20 mile per hour range, and that's only going to increase for the mountains as we go through the night tonight. So let's take a look from 6 o'clock through 8 o'clock. Relatively benign. We could be seeing higher elevations above about 2,500 feet in that 10 to 20 mile per hour range. But I want you to keep an eye on foothills areas, Pittman Center, Gatlinburg, Townsend, especially as we get overnight. So watch from 11 o'clock through 1 a.m. You see the winds start to increase, and that will be the case all the way through the morning hours on our Wednesday. We're talking winds 30, 35, 45 miles per hour as we go through Wednesday morning across the area. And we do have this just updated again across the area. High wind warning now for the higher peaks of the Smokies above about 3,500 feet, with the rest of the foothills locations under a wind advisory. So just like what we've been talking about, gust over 60 where the areas are shaded in pink. The blue areas will have those winds gust in that 35 to 40 range like we've been talking about. So that's why I say we're still not out of the woods yet. And the difference is the wind direction as well with this system. And this kind of points it out. Look at the smoke plume again for today showing up across the area. It has decreased some, but notice as I roll this back, you can see it right through here. Notice the direction. Yesterday it was more like this, moving towards the north. Today it is more to the northeast. So the wind has shifted direction. So now the burn pattern will shift direction as well. When these winds start to pick up, it'll most likely push a lot of the fires or the opportunities for the fires more back towards the mountains and away from the foothills areas. So something we will keep a close eye on for sure as we go through the evening. Let's look a little wider perspective here. That's what I was talking about with that spring-like setup that we have. Look at all the sunshine back across the southeastern U.S. Some high clouds are starting to stream in. Notice the showers and thunderstorms developing back across Mississippi. They actually are under a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms across Mississippi. Tornadoes expected here. All right, let's get a little closer into our area. Not expecting tornadic storms, but across the plateau where we have this slight risk, could be some damaging wind gusts. So something we'll be following for you guys as well. We're not going to forget about you. We'll keep an eye on that as the cold front will approach the area later tonight. Could be some damaging wind gusts. We're under just a marginal risk here across the valley, which means 1 or 2 storms could be severe. We'll watch that. But again, the biggest threat would be the damaging wind gusts that accompany thunderstorms moving through the area. Let's get some timing perspective here. From 6 o'clock through about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight, relatively quiet. We're not expecting much in the way of showers or thunderstorms moving through the area. By 11 o'clock, we see a few of those scattered showers coming across the plateau and moving north and eastward. It's these showers or storms that kind of come out ahead of the main line that could have a few lightning strikes with them. That is another thing we'll have to keep an eye on, not just for the valley locations, but anywhere across the region we could see some lightning strikes. So something we'll have to watch. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. This is 4 a.m. So again, most areas still pretty dry overnight until we get closer to daybreak here into the Smokies and even probably beyond. So we're talking the best opportunity for rain for the areas affected by the wildfires will be after sunrise through at least mid-afternoon across the mountains. But the good news is they will be seeing some rainfall. I'm going to talk about updated rainfall amounts, how much we're expecting across that area, coming up in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, Ken, thank you so much. Just getting an email from our coworker and friend Don Dare, who confirms that Governor Haslam has arrived in Sevier County. So we'll be hearing from him in that briefing coming up in less than 30 minutes over there in Gatlinburg. So we'll bring you that live just as soon as it gets underway.
In the meantime, we do want to check back in with WATE 6 on your side reporter Madison Keevy. She's at the LeConte Center. And Madison, we understand you saw some of Pigeon Forge.
I did see some of Pigeon Forge today. I was actually in Wares Valley, and a neighborhood of cabins had the fire just go through last night. Now, 2 of the cabins confirmed in the neighborhood I saw today, and they are on the ground. As you can see, that's actually a roof. It used to be the color green. It's still even smoking up until an hour ago. There are fires around the ridge there. These are the first 2 cabins you see. It's pretty amazing how tall you can see on the trees there, the markings of where those flames got last night. Residents that were driving through told me they watched from down the hill from their window, just worried how quickly this fire would move and if it would jump over the road there. So the cabins are no longer. All that's left are the driveway and the foundation. So it's pretty shocking when you take a look at the damage like this and walk around in it. And of course the smoke smell is very potent where that fire was just hours ago. So I spoke to one of the managers of these cabins, and he had a lot to say, mostly shock.
Really beautiful neighborhood, you know, really well kept, and you come here and you see it in flames and, you know, cinders. It's just, you know, it takes your breath away. It's not something you want to see happen to anything, you know, here in the park or in the mountains.
Today at 9 a.m. was the first time that he saw what was his cabin, and he, with me, stood there in just shock and described what it looked like and what was missing. And even across the street from where those cabin remains are, you see just black up the mountain. You see exactly where that fire touched. Now, I will say that right next to those 2 sites that had the cabins, there is a home that was untouched, and it just goes to show how much this wind really does affect where this fire hits. It could hit one place and leave something else completely untouched. So, like I said, pretty shocking today to see that kind of damage. You hear the numbers of how large this fire is, but to actually be where, you know, a home used to sit, where a cabin was, you see charred toasters and, you know, washer and dryers there. It's pretty shocking. It really puts it in perspective how serious this is. So back to you.
Wow, thank you so
Madison,
much.
Thank you. You know, when you think about things like that, personal items that you use every day, now among the charred ruins, a simple thing like a toaster, you know.
So simple, but
so
yet
simple, but so
necessary.
sad. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that report. We're going to continue to check back in. We have a number of reporters fanned out across the area giving us those reports. I know a lot of you have been messaging a lot of us that are either anchors or reporters here at WATE asking, do you know about this section? Do you know about this road? You got to be patient with us. We're getting this information from first responders, and at this time, their goal is really just to make sure that everybody is okay. Go door to door, knock the fire out, and look for anybody who may be inside a home.
Safety first,
Right.
then they're going to begin the assessment phase. And they've started it in certain areas, but really not fanning out in all the pockets of the mountainous region that we have been asked about so much. So as soon as we find out, we will tweet it. We will have it on the air. We'll have it on our website so that many of you will know, because I know people are anxious.
Yeah, we understand.
Yes.
We understand, but we just don't have that just yet.
Yeah.
We do want to show you right now, we have some pictures of volunteers hard at work in the wake of these fires. Joe sending us this first picture, and our own Marshall Hughes sending us a second one. Now take a look, and you can see everyone working to collect food and water for people displaced by these fires. I mean, and we're not just talking about folks in the Sevier County area, people in Knox County, people in Anderson County, everybody trying to figure out what they can do to help out these folks that had to just get up and leave their homes with whatever was on their backs. This has been a tough one.
Yes, it really has, but boy, this outpouring of support has been nothing short of, I don't want to say surprising, because this is volunteer country.
Right.
So,
this is what we do. This is
yes,
what we do.
But everywhere you look, there are truckloads and truckloads of things. So we're really happy to bring you these pictures.
My goodness.
We also want to see if we can send it back over to Ken Weathers. I know he's busy keeping up with things right now. But Ken, is there any indication that things might change a little bit for the better? It seems like it's less bleak than it was perhaps this morning.
I would say the best thing that we can hope for is that we get the rain in quickly. Unfortunately, it's going to take some time before the rain does move through. It's dry out there now. We've got some sunshine. Wind is fairly light. And here's what's also interesting is it's a different wind direction today. I'll roll this back and you can see the smoke plume near the Gatlinburg area is more moving towards the northeast today, as opposed to yesterday where it was moving from south to north across the area. So the wind has shifted direction a little bit. It's not quite as strong as it was, but something we have to watch, because as we go later tonight, as we've been saying, those winds will increase across the area. And I've been saying this is kind of a spring-like setup across the region. Yesterday it was very dry. We didn't have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, as we've not had for several months now, but that changed last night and today. There is a bit more moisture because the flow of all levels of the atmosphere is coming out of the southwest. It's coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, so it's feeding that moisture northward. But with the sunshine we've seen across the southeast today, setting the stage for some thunderstorms. In fact, there's a moderate risk, this red color here, of severe thunderstorms across Mississippi. They could see tornadic thunderstorms there. Now, we do have a slight risk across Middle Tennessee, back across the plateau, but it's more favorable, it looks like, for damaging wind gusts, not tornadoes, but something we still have to keep a close eye on. So, yes, we're focused on the Sevier County area, Blount County area, up through Cott County, but we have to watch our plateau counties as well, as that line of thunderstorms will come through a little later tonight. Damaging wind gusts could be possible across the area. So again, let's look at some of the timing. From 6 o'clock through 9 o'clock tonight, relatively quiet. Clouds will build across the area, yes. Limited showers or storms. Really, the better bet's going to come later tonight, probably after midnight. And it's these showers and storms that kind of pop up ahead of the main line that we'll have to watch, because they may have some lightning with them. Of course, that would be bad just about anywhere if you get a cloud to ground strike that could start a fire here or there. So something we'll have to watch with that. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. Again, most of the rain is Knoxville westward. So that's why we've been stressing overnight tonight as the winds increase for the mountains and foothills locations and the rain hasn't moved in yet. That fire danger will remain high, but overnight into tomorrow, this is 7 a.m., notice those scattered showers coming across the plateau and pushing eastward. So that's why we're saying it may be after daybreak and beyond before the best opportunities for rain move into the mountains. The good news is they will move into the mountains and we will see rain. It's just going to take some time. So let's look at the estimated rainfall amounts from 8 o'clock tonight through midnight. We're not talking about much, so that kind of reinforces what we're talking about here. Better chances will be further west. Let's advance this further into 4 a.m. Still not seeing much more than some trace amounts in the fire areas. But look at this. We're talking 1-inch plus amounts. This is great news back across the plateau. But, again, as dry as the ground has been, if we get this rain to fall too quickly, it could lead to some isolated flooding. I think this is a little overdone, but it's showing some 3 to 4 inch rainfall amounts by 8 a.m. across the plateau. Let's hope that doesn't happen. We want the rain, you just don't want it too much too quickly. So again, even through 8 a.m. we're not seeing much rain into the Smokies. It's after that time frame. So from sunup through mid-afternoon, we have our better chances of rain. And look at this, guys, 1 to possibly 2 inches of rainfall possible in those very hard-hit areas from the fire. So that would be good news, but just a lot to watch. We have the winds before the rain gets here, the possibility of severe storms on the plateau, then the possibility of some heavy rain that could lead to some flooding. So something you definitely need to stay on top of, and we will do as well, and we'll keep you updated as we go all the way through the night tonight.
All right, Ken, thank you so much. We have with us on the phone now Ryan Desir, Regional Manager of Ripley's Aquarium for the Smokies. And Ryan, so many people will never forget that picture that you sent in of fire so close to the aquarium, and we're looking at that right now. What was going through your mind when you saw all of that?
You know, pure chaos was going through my mind. Sorry, I should be more eloquent than that. But a lot of what are we going to do was really what was happening. There was so much misinformation, bad information, or no information. It was very, very difficult to operate, particularly last evening. And we were really scrambling to make sure that everything was fine. Really, that photo right there, if it's the one I'm thinking you're showing, is just heartbreaking. It shows really an avalanche of fire, I'm guessing, coming down the mountain right behind the aquarium. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And, you know, what really did us right was our parking deck. Our parking deck basically acted like a firewall there and saved the aquarium. Yeah, it really did. You know, I have to say, and I would be remiss in saying, the folks, and I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but those folks that are working on that fire, our first responders, our police, fire department here in Sevier County, in Gatlinburg, and Pigeon Forge, I don't know how they're doing what they're doing. Those folks are just doing an amazing job under terrible circumstances, particularly last night, where there was no containing that with the winds that were happening. In my house, it was 93 miles per hour. At one point we registered, and how they're doing what they're doing, I don't know, but it's because of them that we could get into the aquarium at all to do what we needed to do.
You know, you all are in a very unique position because unlike a zoo where if there's a threat to the building, you can't just load up your animals in a truck and drive away. How did you all try to figure out your response to this?
So, well, you know, aquariums, you know, is a fully accredited institution with AZA, which is a nonprofit organization that you all are probably very familiar with. We have a very distinct set of ways we deal with any kind of crisis, and this one is a unique crisis in as much that we're kind of a unique setting. Wildfires are not common, and you're right. You just can't load up animals and take them away. It doesn't work like that. So, you know, the way our life support system is designed, and you don't let external air in. You have HEPA filters. There's so many complex systems in place to make sure that the animals are okay, that we can deal with it for a length of time. And in our case, you know, our concerns with our air-breathing animals, particularly Sally, our sea turtle, and our penguins, both of which, particularly Sally, in my mind, who's my favorite. You know, everybody knows Sally the sea turtle.
Oh yes, we do.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And so that old girl just did fine. And we you know, the building, while a little smoky, wasn't anything close to what was happening outside. The issues that we had were you know, we got to make sure our staff is safe and everything else. We stayed until we were forced to leave by the authorities, and then we were the first ones back in the city this morning to make sure that the animals were okay. And luckily, everything was fine.
Thank goodness. Hey, Ryan.
It really was, yeah.
Thank goodness. And that's such a special place. We've all taken our kids there, and we enjoy it ourselves. How many animals are there?
So we have almost 11,000 animals in our collection at Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies, and we're fine. We're fantastic. We just don't have any issues with them. Everything, the systems worked as designed, and the animals are swimming and having a good time, including Sally and the families. No problems.
Did you take any special, do you have a generator? What did you do to make sure when you had to make that heartbreaking but yet necessary decision to leave those animals behind? What did you do to make sure that they were okay, to the best of your ability?
Yeah, sure. Well, again, we have procedures in place, but there's very specific things like you close air filters, for example, to make sure outside air doesn't get in, and then the inside air is processed through HEPA filters. There's a lot that goes into it, and you shut down fractionators, and I could go into great detail on how the whole thing works.
That's okay. I don't know what a fractionator is.
Don't worry, I won't. You're not. So, but the important thing is everything did work as designed. The animals are all fine. And everything worked great. It's a matter of getting in and out of the city is problematic. The communications in the city is very, very poor right now. We're overall, of course, trying to stay off our cell phones, which is what we've been asked to do. And not that you could pick up anything anyway. So, for us, it was a matter of not that we didn't want to speak and speak out. We couldn't speak out. We had no way of doing it. Gatlinburg is a very tough place to be right now, no question about it.
Well, Ryan, we want to thank you so much for, number one, sending us these pictures so that we could help tell the story when you weren't able to, understandably.
Thank you.
And thank you for being such a strong part of our community, and we just can't wait to get back into that aquarium and enjoy it again.
Yeah, and we're A-okay. When Gatlinburg's ready to open, we'll be right there with them, leading the charge. And we're proud members of this community, and it's times like this that show you what Tennesseans are made of. And I'm doggone proud to be one.
Aren't we all? All right, Ryan,
yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you all.
All righty.
I love it. I love when he says when Gatlinburg is back open, we'll be right there. I mean,
leading the charge.
That's what we want to hear. That is what we want to hear. Great update there from Ripley's. We continue to get updates on the area. Remember, Laura, you just got through saying Governor Haslam has touched down. He is in East Tennessee, and he's here in the area to survey the damage. As you can see, stopping to see those wildfires in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. As we've been telling you, we are under a level 3 state of emergency. FEMA has now offered federal funds for relief. This will help out with a lot of the efforts to not only fight and contain this fire, but to pay for a lot of the additional services that come along with that, like simple things like just traffic flow, when those police officers come in from other areas to help us out and make sure that people stay out of the areas that they shouldn't.
Cost of labor, other things, and as we see the governor landing here, let's listen to what he had to say moments after arriving in East Tennessee.
How's it look? It's incredibly tragic. I mean, the amount of damage and the widespread nature of it is really something to see.
You're eager to talk to everyone who's here today.
We are. So, and we'll have a chance. We'll come talk again. We'll give us about 30 minutes to update, and then we'll come meet with everybody. Okay.
All right, that was Governor Haslam just within the last 10 minutes because he landed here at about 3:28 this afternoon. Our Don Dare was there waiting for him right after he got off of the helicopter before he has had a chance to go over for the briefing. So it was good to see him land safely and be able to make his way to talk to some of the folks, get us updated on what the plans are to help get Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Wares Valley, and all that area back to some kind of normalcy.
That's right.
And the rebuilding effort, if you will.
And keep in mind, we are waiting on, you heard the governor say, just give me a few minutes. They're going to do that update coming up around the 4 o'clock hour. It may not be straight up 4 o'clock, but the minute we get that press conference and get some additional information, we'll definitely pass that along. Real quick nugget, I just want to pass along Stages West, which is the 2700 block of the Parkway in Pigeon Forge. You've heard of this company. It's currently serving as a drop-off location for Sevier County fire relief donations. What's interesting about this is, remember, Stages West is the building that was on fire, and they rebuilt beautifully. So it's almost like karma. They're doing their part right now because they know how bad it was for them to lose everything and to come back from it.
Devastating fire.
Yes. So nice to see that.
Thanks to the folks at Stages who've been there, and we appreciate everything they do.
Oh,
We want to check back. Oh, do you have something
Well,
else?
well, we got it. At some point, we need to get in contact with Whitney Good. You know, we have a little group chat that we use here at the station to just kind of get updated. She's working to get in contact with Michael Reed.
Okay.
She's hearing rumors he may have found his family. So she is trying to text him. We're working together. I know I'm jumping the gun by telling you that, but it looks like things may be positive for him. And the minute we get that confirmed, we can't wait to share that update with you.
Everyone say those prayers. Okay?
Yeah,
And we'll get that to you just as
My
soon
goodness.
as we get with Whitney. Okay, let's check in with Marshall Hughes. He is at the LeConte Center where we first heard Michael Reed's story, and there are other stories like that. Marshall, who are you with?
Yeah, Lori and Tirsa. Right now I'm with Beverly Moss, who is actually with the hotel here, the Courtyard Marriott. I will say that Michael Reed, that name has been shared so much around this area, you know, and at the LeConte Center right now. So hopefully, you know, he can be reunited with his family. The positivity here at the LeConte Center is really what I want to talk about right now. It is absolutely amazing. Just talk about some of these things that you're doing for kids. I see so many kids around here. Just to keep a smile on their face, obviously, is a big importance for you.
It is. It is. When there's a tragedy like this that strikes, everyone's affected. And as adults, we kind of deal with it a little better, but children don't know how to deal with it. They can't put their feelings into words. And so being here, lending another hand or covering them up when they're sleeping or making sure that we have coloring books, that's something that we're saying, hey, you are important to us. And whatever's happening in your life, it's going to be okay. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I've talked to so many moms who are just telling me that, you know, they're trying to stay so strong for their kids. You know, at the same time, you guys are really helping out with that, bringing toys. I also hear you have an ice cream party set up for tonight. You got to be, you know, excited about that.
I am. That's kind of like one of my secret specialties that we're doing tonight. They have been fed all day, and I want to say thanks to all the sponsors and people that have been giving today, because it is just amazing through this tragedy how this community is triumphing. But tonight we're going to have a cereal ice cream bar. I used to do this in college when I was at Lee College, and I was a broke college kid, and this is what I would eat. So I would eat Lucky Charms with ice cream. And so we're going to bring that back and allow the kids to enjoy themselves, because kids love ice cream. And when there's an ice cream party, there's not a lot of problems to be realized.
Yeah, I know there's a room set up where people can come and get clothes. There's also a room set up for people with pets, and from what you've told me, there's a lot of pets here.
There is. I don't have a number on that, but there are a lot of pets, and we want people to realize that that's part of their families as well. But we did have to put them in a different area of the building, only because of allergies and things like that. But yes, the clothing room, it is just, I'm just bumfuzzled with how many people and the supporters have come with all the clothing. And these are not just used clothing, these are brand new clothing with tags on them. And we're saying, go shop. Because through this tragedy, a lot of them have lost their homes and everything of material worth. But, you know, it's amazing to see their spirits come alive when they've been giving something. They're giving gifts. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring the light back to this. In this darkness, we want to bring back the light. And we do that by serving.
Again, this is Beverly Moss with the Courtyard Marriott. She's lived in this area for most of her life. Beverly, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
I will say the LeConte Center has asked that large donations go down to the Pigeon Forge City Hall. That's large trucks that have come through. And so we've continued to see just so many donations pouring into this area. Lori, Tirsa.
That's so good.
I like the idea of the ice cream party. Just kind of help, you know, especially with the kids and even the adults, a little moment to smile through all of this drama.
Absolutely. That's a good way to end the day.
That's right.
It's going to be later this evening. Hopefully we'll be able to get some pictures of that. In the meantime, as we await the news conference with the governor that is slated to take place in about 5 minutes in Gatlinburg, let's send it back over to our meteorologist, Ken Weathers, to bring us up to date on what is going to be happening next in our weather that has an impact on these fires.
Exactly right. Been dry all day today, and the wind has been relatively light, but it is going to be picking up as we go later into the evening and overnight hours, especially where the fires have been. So fire danger is going to remain high. We're going to go weather aware again for tonight. More rain will move in, which is the good news, but winds will also be gusty. Another thing we're going to have to keep a close eye on, the possibility of some severe thunderstorms across the plateau as this whole batch starts to move through. And the winds are picking up on the plateau. These are gusts, so again, it's the highest winds that you'll see in a 1-minute time frame. We're talking gust to 18 in Crossville, 15 Tellico Plains, 14 in Lenore City, but not too bad at this point over into the Smokies. But as we've been saying, that will change. So let's show you on 6 timeline from 6 o'clock, showing winds in that 10 to 15 mile per hour gust range. That's not too bad, but it will increase as we go through tonight. This is 8 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock. Notice we're starting to see 20, 25 mile per hour gust for the Smokies over towards Tremont. Again, this is elevation at about 3,500 feet. Gets worse. 1 o'clock through 3 o'clock. Starts to shift even over towards the foothills location. So the lower elevations starting to see those 20, 30 mile per hour gusts. And that's going to be the case all the way through daybreak tomorrow morning across the region. That's why they've updated, the Weather Service has, high wind warning areas shaded in pink. That's above 3,500 feet. Those are gusts to 60 miles per hour. And the blue shaded areas, this has just been added, foothills areas, it's 40 mile per hour gusts. So again, we have to keep a close eye on this before the rain even starts to move in later tonight. Saw the smoke plume evident earlier as we put this into time lapse for you. You can see again the direction of it, though, a little different from yesterday. It's moving more towards the north and east as opposed to almost due north. So the winds are switching as well. That'll be key for battling some of the fires and hot spots a little bit later tonight as well. We've had a lot of sunshine back across the middle part of the state. Now some high clouds are starting to stream in, but notice those thunderstorms in Mississippi. Under a moderate risk for severe storms. They could have tornadoes across Mississippi later this afternoon into this evening. We have an opportunity, though, of some damaging wind gusts, not tornadoes, but damaging wind gusts across the plateau. So that's, again, what we'll be watching there. They're under a slight risk, marginal risk across the valley, which means very low end, but still can't rule 1 or 2 out. Something we'll definitely keep an eye on across the area. So overnight tonight, showers, some rumbles of thunder expected. Mountain areas, though, maybe closer to daybreak to midday before you see the relief in the form of rainfall. We have a bit of a break Thursday into Friday, and good news is we start to see opportunities of wet weather returning once again as we head through the weekend. Scattered showers, some cooler temperatures as well. Latest now coming up on WAT 6 on your side, News at 4.
Mandatory evacuations right now.
You still can't find some of your family members. This fire blew up from 50 to 500 acres.
We just want to let people know that we will rebuild.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right now, but God was with me, so I didn't have nothing to worry about.
It is absolutely devastating.
WATE 6 on your side, News at 4 starts now.
And good afternoon to you. I'm Lori Tucker.
And I'm Bo Williams. A fire for the history books leaves behind scenes of devastation like you see behind us. Homes, cabins, businesses turned to ash.
We watched the flames spread through the hills of Sevier County through the night, and then the dawn brought a heartbreaking view. TDOT sending out this video of buildings reduced to rubble around the Gatlinburg area. Now, what we know tonight, Gatlinburg tells us areas of Tellico Plains, plus Von Orr and parts of Pigeon Forge have been evacuated. Gatlinburg as well, a level 3 state of emergency. Upwards of 14,000 people forced out of their homes and vacation cabins, spending the night in shelters and hotels.
Now, as we understand it, some fires still burning today, even after the overnight rain and early morning rains that we saw. We've had crews, the evacuation zones, and working to get back into the burned out areas throughout the day. Now, anchors Ryan O'Donnell, Kristen Farley, investigator Don Dare, reporters Kelly Rinke, Madison Keevy. We're going to hear from all of them coming up here in just a moment.
That's right. We're going to provide you with our team coverage. In the meantime, what we're waiting for, it is 10 seconds after 4 o'clock, and that is when the Governor Bill Haslam, who just arrived here about 30 minutes ago, is scheduled to speak at a news conference. As you can see, setup is still happening at that news conference at the Anna Porter Library, very close to the scene of the area where that provided shelter for thousands of people
thousands,
this morning.
The Rocky Top Sports Complex. Exactly right. We saw upwards of 2,000 people seeking shelter there throughout the day today. This has really been kind of the command center, the the center of where all the information has been fed in and out. And again, we're going to be getting an update here in just a little bit on where everything stands, as well as hearing from the governor himself. And as you mentioned, it landed just a few moments ago.
We will be hearing from him. We'll be hearing from also the mayors in Sevier County, as well as Gatlinburg. Also some other city officials. The fire chief spoke earlier. Really everybody that can give us an update, a cohesive update on where the plan stands right now is going to be
Especially as we head into those evening hours.
Yeah.
Take a look here for a moment. We have some amazing reported pictures we need to pass along to you. A lot of you sending these in to us as the fire spread last night. And you can see some of these pictures as we move through. This is actually, I believe, Pigeon Forge, and you can see the fire just off in the distance there. And then obviously some of the rubble that a lot of you have been sending us, the post-fire, if you will. And
so many burned out cars on the side of the road.
Right. And we can't say enough about the first responders. You saw a couple of them there as well, helping a lot of these people get down off the mountain during those overnight hours, risking their lives to help others.
You know, and we also want to mention that we have so many relief crews who are here and support crews as well. The governor, who, as we said, is slated to speak at any moment, also ordered the Tennessee Army National Guard to assist in the wildfire response. So 120 members are here to help with all kinds of things: labor, assessment, welfare checks. Anything that is needed, they're here to do.
And that's big to point out, because after the 4 o'clock press conference, or not the 4 o'clock, but the 11 a.m. press conference that we heard earlier, the last update we had, they talked about they were going through, checking the roads, making sure that they were clear, and then going door to door, knocking, and as you said, doing those welfare checks. The president-elect also tweeting out his thoughts today to all of those here in East Tennessee.
Let's read you that. This came out late this afternoon. President-elect Trump saying, "My thoughts and prayers are with the great people of Tennessee during these terrible wildfires." He says, "Stay safe."
All right, that press conference now about to start there in Gatlinburg. I want to take you there live here for just a moment. The governor now at the library. They're getting organized here. They're kind of finishing everything up. But again, we're getting ready to take it here, and let's see if we can listen in here for just a moment. It looks like they're not quite ready, but they're getting ready here for just a moment.
No, there's Mayor Larry Waters, who's standing right next to him. And the governor is expected to assure the people of East Tennessee and Tennessee of what the state is going to be doing to help take care and start the rebuilding process. That takes a lot of money, and the state has to sign off on some of those dollars. And so hopefully we're going to be hearing from that. And also Governor Haslam has proven to be a compassionate man. Let's listen in as this begins now.
I think we've got most everyone here. I'll begin by saying good afternoon to everyone, and we appreciate you all being here today. This is our third press conference concerning the devastating fires that have taken place in Sevier County, and we continue to learn devastating news about the magnitude of the losses that we're experiencing as a community in Sevier County. I have now been able to confirm the loss of 3 lives in Sevier County. We're deeply saddened by these losses, and we extend our prayers to the families of all of them. We do not have information to release at this time regarding identities, as we are awaiting notification of next of kin. So that's basically all the information we have about the 3 fatalities. We are continuing search and rescue operations as we speak. There are teams going into areas, particularly in Gatlinburg and in the county, that we were not able to get into last night because of the speed of the fire and how quickly it spread. And our emergency responders tried to get into those areas, but because of trees down, because of electrical lines down, they were not able to. So we're now trying, going house by house in the cities and counties into those areas to make sure that that everyone that is out and that there are no more losses. So that effort is continuing as we speak. As I said, we're focused on clearing roads throughout the day and so that they can have access to these homes and check anybody in distress. We're deeply burdened by the thought of additional loss, but we're going to make every effort to access all the homes that we can. Progress is slow. You all need to understand that due to the fire activity, the heavy smoke, and the downed trees. So it's going to take some time to do this. We want to ensure the safety of our crews as they work under these incredibly challenging conditions. You must know that our main priority continues to be suppressing multiple structural fires across Gatlinburg and any that remain in the county. And also our priority right now is our citizens and their safety and our visitors and their safety. And we're going to do, let me assure you that we in Sevier County and the cities of Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to ensure the safety of both our citizens and our visitors, as that is our #1 priority and will continue to be until this situation is under control. I want to thank the incredible support that has been offered to the county and the cities by our state and federal leaders as they continue to open doors for assistance. We're in particularly thankful we have our state representatives here, Representative Farmer, Representative Carr, Senator Overby. We also have representing the Governor's Office, Commissioner Perkey, Commissioner of Safety, and Commissioner Templeton, Commissioner of Agriculture, and we appreciate all of these folks and the support they have shown to the citizens of Sevier County over the past 24 hours. It has been absolutely incredible, not only them, but emergency responders from all of the region and all across the state has been contacting us and pouring into the area, and we deeply appreciate that. So what I want to do now is introduce Governor Haslam, who we are glad to have with us today and who, as I said, has given us incredible support throughout this ordeal. And I'm going to invite the Governor to come to the podium and share some words with us. Governor?
Thanks, Mayor, and I think all of Tennessee shares our sorrow over the loss here of life and obviously all the other damage that has been done here. This is a special place in the state of Tennessee. You know, millions of families have come here and will continue to come here to enjoy being families together, and people have realized this is a special part of the world for a long time, and it will remain that. But for now, a lot of us have heavy hearts at what's happened here. This is the largest fire in the last 100 years of the state of Tennessee. There are approximately 100 different fire apparatus here from different departments around the area. There's 400 different personnel working on the fire, again from all different departments. And as Governor, I'm incredibly grateful for the way folks have worked together across agency, across state, local, federal bounds, whether it be the national park workers or county, city, state, forestry, TEMA. I can go on and on. The cooperation has been incredible, and I'm very proud of them. I've told both mayors and everyone else the state stands ready to do everything we can. I've gotten calls from the governor of every surrounding state saying, how can we help? I just got off the phone with President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Mike Pence expressing their sorrow about what is happening and pledging to help in any way they can. And I think that it just points out that this area really is in everyone's heart across our country right now. So I'm grateful for all the work, for all the emergency personnel who have been working incredible hours. Thank you. Those of us who benefit from your service are grateful for that. So thank you again for your work, and again, we stand ready to help in any way that we can.
Governor, could you quickly describe what you saw from the air?
Sure. Well, let's just, can we, I have one or two other folks who are going to comment, and then we'll take questions, and we won't go away.
Thank you, Governor. As the Governor said, we are going to take questions at the end here. Next, I would like to introduce our congressman for this area, Congressman Rowe, and he's certainly been supportive. He is working with FEMA to make sure that we get all the assistance from the federal government that that we feel is necessary, and we appreciate that. And I'd also like to recognize Congressman Rowe to share some words with us. Congressman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. And this is a special place, as the governor said. And there's not anybody in this room or anybody in the surrounding area that doesn't have a memory of being in Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge or Sevierville. I mean, we all do. We live here. It's our home. Most of us vacate here. Many of us vacate here. And many people around the world. This is the most visited national park in the United States. So it is really heartbreaking to me to drive in and see the devastation, not only for the personal loss of life, and that's certainly the worst, but I, as a former mayor, I know the governor's a former mayor, and Mayor Waters has been the longest serving mayor of anybody in our state. It shows you the cooperation, the interagency cooperation that occurred when you're down, and people stepped up, and I can't thank the safety people, those who volunteer, and professional firefighters, EMS people, and the sheriff's departments and police departments, of what they've done. I think they saved a lot of lives, and they're to be thanked for that. I think that the death toll would have been much higher had it not been for the quick decisions these people made. And certainly I know that everybody here, and I know when I get back to D.C. tomorrow, they'll be willing to step up and help in any kind of way we can. And Mayor, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Congressman. And now I want to recognize the mayor of Gatlinburg, Mayor Werner. Let me say before I do, many of you don't know the personal nature of what's went on here. Mayor Werner lost his house and his business in this fire, and City Manager Cindy Ogle also lost her and her husband Bud home in the fire. So this hits home. So, Mayor Werner.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. We do want to thank the governor and all our representatives for their continued support. The support has been amazing, and we appreciate it very much. A couple hours ago, I had an opportunity to drive through town and confirm the fact that my house was gone, and my business of 31 years is gone. And I know our city managers and her husband Bud's home, as Mayor Waters just said, is gone. So it's a devastating time for us and for Gatlinburg. But as I said earlier this morning, we're strong, we're resilient, and we're gonna make it. We're gonna pull it together and continue to make Gatlinburg the premier resort that it is. Next 24 hours are going to be critical as we continue to fight multiple active fires. There's several little hot spots all over the area. So there is going to be a curfew proposed from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And also there's a water boil recommendation that people do that. But any of the people that are outside of town, the Gatlinburg is still going to be blocked off, so you will not be able to get in town tomorrow either. So I just want to let you know that. And also, we'd like to appreciate the abundance of support from across the entire country. It's amazing the people that have stepped up and just say, what can we do? How can we help? So the Gatlinburg Chamber of Commerce Foundation has established a Gatlinburg Relief Fund for anybody wishing to contribute and help Gatlinburg. And we're more than willing to accept whatever anybody wants to offer, because we appreciate it very much. Donations can be dropped at any Smart Bank location or by mailing it to the following address: Smart Bank, P.O. Box 1910, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee 37868. And there's a phone number too that you can call, 865 area code 453-2650. And I would like just to also say thank you so much for all of your prayers, all of your support. You know, the loss of life is very saddening. It's horrible, but we're gonna make it. Gatlinburg strong, Sevier County strong. Our sister cities, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, all of the elected officers from that area have reached out, and I know that we're going to be okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Warner. Now we will open the floor for questions.
Can you give us an update on the 3 patients taken to Vanderbilt, what their injuries are, and where they were rescued from, how they're doing now?
I would have to recognize either
an overall injury update.
Mr. Matthews or Chief Miller.
I do not have an update on those 3 patients. I was just advised that there were 3 patients with burn injuries that were transported to Vanderbilt.
Where were they rescued from?
I do not have that information.
How many total injuries and fatalities at this point?
As Mayor Waters said, fatalities at 3. I think we've transported now a total of 14.
In addition to the 3?
Correct.
Do you expect more fatalities in the coming hours?
We have not been able to get in all of the areas. We pray that we don't experience any more fatalities, but there are still areas that we're trying to get to because of down trees and down power lines.
In the line of that, any firefighters, they got any hurt?
We have not had any firefighters sustain any injuries.
Can you say where exactly the fatalities occurred? Were they in a home or a house, car, something like that?
Are they residents or are they visitors? Do you know?
We do not have the identification. We're trying to identify those folks now, and we don't have the specific details. We just know, and I talked with our sheriff earlier today, we just know there's 3 fatalities. But as soon as we get additional information, certainly we will release that to the public.
About your loss, I know this has got to be hard for all of you. How are you guys who are in authority and leadership positions who are also dealing with personal losses, working with those who are here, the tourists, the folks who call this area home? What will the next 24 hours be like in terms of moving forward, taking care of their needs, and taking care of what's on that mountain?
Yeah, I'll ask Mayor Warner to come up and address that.
Hey, a good question. Thank you. You know, we're a family in Gatlinburg and Sevier County, and we support each other. You know, personally, I just want us to get this cleaned up, move on. But it's a tremendously strong area of people that are willing to give, willing to sacrifice. I've had people call and say, whatever you need, whatever it takes, we're there, and it's just that support that keeps us up, keeps us going. I know Mayor Waters and our city manager Cindy Ogle, they're running on adrenaline right now. I mean, they've been going hard. Chief Miller, Chief Brackens, I mean, everybody has worked extremely hard. And it's just something that's what this area is about.
Mayor, there are a lot of people who live here in Gatlinburg that were evacuated yesterday that want to come back and see if their house made it. When are they going to be able to come back in?
You know, that's going to be a call from the fire chief, police chief. You know, we want to keep people basically. We want them to be able to come and see, you know, what has happened, what's standing, what's not happening, what's not standing. But it's going to be a time to really let the professionals do their job and get in there and try to get this mess cleaned up so people can get around. Right now there's electric wires down and trees that you couldn't even get to where you might want to go. So
I think in the next 24 hours they'll be able to come back in to see their house?
Hopefully. We don't have any guarantee, but you know, we as soon as possible.
Sorry about what's happened to your property. We've talked to so many people who don't know what's happened to theirs. Do you have a number on a number of home structures that have been destroyed or damaged?
Chief Miller.
Again, this is a work in progress. All of our time is not being able to be spent doing damage assessments because we're still working. We're still fighting fires. We're trying to clear all of the egress routes, and there are multiple trees down, multiple power lines, multiple telephone poles. So until that is done, until we can get access into all of those areas, that's prohibiting us from being able to go door to door. And for the same reason, we don't want to allow the citizens back in because it's a life safety issue. It would be a danger to them. So once those egress routes are established again and we can go check door to door and we secure the safety, then we can open up the streets again.
Chief, so your earliest estimate is that perhaps sometime tomorrow residents may be able to go back into the affected areas?
Again, as already been mentioned, it's hard to forecast. The reason I say that, Don, is we've got some pretty ominous forecasting for this evening. 60-mile-an-hour winds are forecast several hours ahead of more rain. So we may spend a lot of the evening, this evening, fighting more fire. So we have to prioritize those things.
Do you have enough resources? Are there enough crews here to help you guys with what's happening tonight?
I do believe we do. We've had great support from throughout the state, a lot of volunteer firefighters as well as paid firefighters, police officers, highway patrolmen, and deputies. You probably noticed the parking lot, which is our staging area, is just stacked full. Those are the people that are awaiting deployment. There's at least that many more on the mountain and throughout town that are roaming and doing the work as we speak.
Can you talk about what are your biggest concerns?
Let's do it one at a time.
Go back.
Yeah.
Governor, I was just hoping you could describe what you saw from the air and tell us how the firefighting crews are attacking that fire. Those fires from the air are working throughout the afternoon.
You know, as you know, we've had a horrible month for fires all throughout Tennessee, but this is different because it involves so many structures. You know, the fire we had on the other side of the mountain over in the Walland area and down in Chattanooga and Morgan County, we weren't so near people, and when you see that number of houses that are burned out, and you can tell how fast the fire went because they're burned to a lot of them are burned to the ground. It's a little numbing, to be honest with you, to see the extent of the damage. So, again, the other thing that you see when you're up there is, I guess because I know because of the wind, the fire happened in so many different places, and so you can see spots all over the place, and it's a mini miracle that they were able to keep as control of the fire as they were, because of the spread and the number of fires. The other places we've had a fire line that you can manage. This has felt like just, you know, everywhere you look there was a fire popping up. So again, hats off to first responder crews. You've done an incredible job.
Is there any estimate just between the residents and the tourists, just the number of people who are displaced, evacuated?
We do not have an estimate of that. We right now we estimate that we have we sheltered a little over 2,000 people last night in our shelter here at Rocky Top and in Pigeon Forge at the LeConte Center, and we'll be trying to get a handle on the number of people that we'll be sheltering tonight and feeding. But we continue to do that. We continue to try to provide items, hygiene items and other things for these folks that can't get back to their homes yet. I'll make a comment about the county. The city is still evaluating because I think so many structures, but we've in discussion with our sheriff and some other folks in the county, we had probably in excess of 150 structures that were either destroyed or damaged. In particular, we had two areas, the Wares Valley area and also the Cobley Knob area in Pittman Center, both of which we estimate right now, the estimates that I got this afternoon was about 70 structures in each of those. So we've determined that. We have some hot spots in the county. But I am told that most everything is under control, whereas, as you heard the chief say, here in Gatlinburg you've got some structure fires still going on, and we expect that to be an ongoing thing.
What about progress in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park?
Superintendent Cash, you're on.
Hi, good evening. Just today we transitioned our Type 1 team. Type 1 in the Incident Command System is a team that's used to handling very complex fires like the Chimneys fires. And so we, in addition to that, we have a lot of resources, whether they're helicopters or tankers or dozers to coming in. So again, we're really getting more robust, and as I shared with the chief and the mayors, that we look to continue to amplify our sharing of resources across organizations.
Any structures damaged in the park?
No, not to our knowledge just yet. But again, you know, folks are getting eyes up in the air, and there are some areas that we're looking to confirm.
In terms of the fire itself, or fires, what are the biggest concerns tonight? Because clearly we're still not out of the woods. What are you guys focusing on right now?
The single greatest concern would be the wind. It's just a great feeder for those fires, and a wildfire can spot fire up to a mile away just from embers being blown by the wind. So the greater the wind speed is, it just makes our job a little bit harder. It creates these additional spot fires. If the wind comes at the same time in the rain, not so much of a problem. If the wind comes a couple of hours ahead of the rain, then our jobs get extremely dangerous again this evening.
And those 3 deaths, were they together or were they in separate areas? I know you don't know much, but can you at least let us know?
I understand that they were separate. They were not inside Gatlinburg, so that's why I'm...
But I mean, were these 3 people that were together, or were these 3 completely separate incidents?
They were separate incidents.
Separate, yeah. Okay.
Is anyone reported missing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mayor Warner, can you describe from what you've heard so far the scene in the city of Gatlinburg, when the first structure started going, how quickly things moved, how desperate the situation got quickly?
You know, it happened so fast, it was staggering. You know, when you've got wind up to 87 miles an hour pushing fire, I mean, people were basically running for their lives. And the structures that have been damaged, a lot of them up on Greystone Heights where I live, there's nothing left but a foundation. All through town you can see, as Chief Miller said, different spots that are totally destroyed. And then right next to it, there might be a spot that's totally okay. But the speed was incredible, and every agency that has helped, that has supported us, has done an amazing job. I think the evacuation time was as good as it could be, and no one had a clue that it was going to happen that fast. That's one of the biggest problems. As Chief Miller just said, that wind, when you see it and you see it pushing fire, it's a scary, scary sight to see.
Mayor, how and when did you learn about your own loss in the midst of trying to lead the community through this crisis?
You know, I heard from a couple people last night that they knew they had lost their homes, which was close to ours, and I didn't know for sure that ours was gone until today, and we went up and got as close to it to see it as it was gone, and then we got out of there because there were still propane tanks, wires down. It's very dangerous, you know, to try to maintain these fires and do the work that our professionals have to do because of just the obstacles they have to deal with.
Yeah, let's on that note.
The governor answered. I made this comment in our meeting earlier because I think it puts in perspective what has happened in our wonderful town, and that is that Parkway is basically intact. All Parkway, which is of course the main commercial road in town. The Glades Buckhorn area, our very famous arts and crafts community, is intact. And I'm not saying that there's not maybe a little bit of damage somewhere, but in terms of relative to the other areas that have been so severely damaged. So, you know, I think just to put in perspective that we have 2 very primary parts of our town that are intact. Now, granted, yes, we have a lot of damage. We have a lot of recovery to be about. But as all of these gentlemen have said, and you know, we're a strong community, and we're going to work together, and we're going to get there.
Thank you. I think that concludes our press conference today. We're going to have one in the morning. Somebody tell me what time.
11 o'clock.
11 a.m. Thank you. Curfew involves everyone, it's my understanding.
Media too?
Yes.
Curfew involves everyone. We will have another press conference in the morning at 11. Again, thank you all for being here. I want to close by saying Sevier County is full of people, strong people with great character. And we are going to overcome this, and we would continue to ask for your prayers as we move forward dealing with this tremendous tragedy. And again, thank you all for being here.
All right, that wraps up a news briefing full of news, very sad news. Sevier County Mayor Larry Waters confirming that 3 people are dead in Sevier County, and these are in 3 separate locations.
Right. We heard from Fire Chief Gary Miller just a few moments ago. He was talking about, he was asked that, so were they together or were these 3 fatalities in separate areas? And he said they were in separate areas, something that he wanted to point out. We still, obviously, as you mentioned, we don't know their identities.
No.
At this time, they're still trying to, obviously, also notify the next of kin. But as soon as we get more information, of course, we'll pass along. But, you know, throughout the day, we've been saying some good news. We had not heard of any fatalities, but unfortunately now there are at least 3.
Yes, and we also want to let you know that there is a curfew that they were just talking about. This goes from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. And we understand this affects everybody, including the media. So that's what we've just learned. Also, there is a water boil recommendation in the Gatlinburg area, and Gatlinburg is blocked off once again tomorrow. That's where most of the damage is.
And a lot of people were asking, you know, when will everybody be able to get back in their homes? A lot of you are watching. You may be staying at a hotel. You may be with some friends at a friend's home right now, and you want to get back and see your property and find out what's going on. Maybe you have a business in that area. Still don't know. They're hoping. They say as soon as possible. We heard Mayor Warner there just a moment ago, but you know, he was asking, you know, could it be 24 hours? Still don't know.
Or longer.
Yeah, it could be longer.
And they were saying that progress is slow.
Right.
They have fire activity that is still going on. They have heavy smoke that they're dealing with, the crews, and down trees as well. So all of the leaders, including the governor, wanted to remind everybody that safety is the priority right now. Assessment has not really begun in earnest because they're still putting out fires. They're still fighting fires, getting the down trees out of the road and trying to get to those down power lines.
That's going to take some time. We've seen video of TDOT crews out trying to tackle those roads. Chief Miller also making the comment, too, that this is big. They've got to, first of all, attack those fires. That's going to be first and foremost where they can ever get in there and then start assessing the damage. But because we have blocked roads, you still have down power lines. You heard the mayor just a moment ago, Mayor Warner. He found out his home is no longer standing.
And his business in 31 years.
Yeah, burned down as well. He said it was a very dangerous area, though, and he saw it, turned, and immediately got back out of there again. But I know a lot of people want to get up there. They're just going to be patient a little bit longer, unfortunately.
Exactly. And one more thing. The mayor, Mike Werner, also announced support is coming in from all over the country. And he said the Gatlinburg Chamber of Commerce Foundation has established a relief fund, so you can go to any smart bank and make a donation.
That's right. Anyone, wherever it is, the closest one to you to make that donation. We also want to point out real quick, the governor did say that he has spoken today. He got calls from the president-elect, Donald Trump, also the vice president-elect, Mike Pence, as well, and has heard from governors from all of our neighboring states. A lot of people saying just what can we do to help.
And just to underscore, the governor said this is the largest fire in the last 100 years in the state of Tennessee.
All right. Well, we showed you one view of the roads around Gatlinburg. Major damage there, obviously, but also today we got another view from TDOT.
Yeah, driving the empty streets in downtown Gatlinburg, and some relief here. The downtown area not experiencing that same level of damage from the fires. Look at that. It's so good to see that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, around the time we were getting this video in, WAT-6 on your side anchor Kristen Farley was able to tour parts of town and the surrounding areas as well. Breaking news right now, she's giving us a new look at, well, what remains in the wake of some of these fires. Hello, Kristen.
Well, Bo and Lori, as the governor described it, getting a look at this damage is just numbing. That is probably the most appropriate word to use after seeing all of the damage throughout the Gatlinburg area. We had a chance to go with the National Park Service as well as the Gatlinburg Police Department on a private tour of the damage and take a look at what we saw today. Just about 4 or 5 miles from the Rocky Top Sports World, devastation lines 321. Flames still visible. An auto parts store, a sport utility rental shop, a wedding chapel, all gone.
And it's landmarks like this one, the Alamo restaurant right along 321, just destroyed by the fire that ripped through this area last night. Now, as you can see, flames still shooting up from the restaurant. A sign that these fires are far from over, and it's hot spots like this and like this one over here that can continue the battles against these fires for days to come. No Way Jose's Cantina and the Greystone Lodge here behind me, 2 places that appear to be intact right now in downtown Gatlinburg, but getting everyone out of this hotel safely to the evacuation center, that was a difficult task.
Around 6:30 or 7, when we were coming out this way, there was a lot of fire. The fire was actually coming down Greystone Heights Road behind the Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. Saw a lot of paramedics, a lot of firemen.
But later today, some hope as the National Guard rolled into town, barreling through the empty streets of this usually bustling town.
And we have been getting so many questions about the Gatlinburg Aquarium, but we are on the backside here and you can see everything was intact. But this is why we had so many phone calls and so much concern. That fire last night just ripped down this mountain to the parking garage, where you can see today it's just littered with trees and debris.
And Ryan, we saw images like that really all across the area, just charred mountainsides. And as you looked up traveling into Gatlinburg, I think what struck me the most was seeing the shells of all of the houses and cabins that remain on the mountainside. That was the part I think that hit me the most. And much like you heard the officials say, it was almost like tornado damage. You would see one home perfectly intact,
right?
Yeah, and then you would see pockets of damage, and you would just wonder how that one home could survive.
But a lot of the questions I'm getting from viewers is, when can they get back in and take a look for themselves? I mean, I know that they appreciate the tour and showing you and showing the different homes and such, but of course, a lot of people want to know, when, and I know that they're talking hopefully here within the next 24 hours, but again, it's not guaranteed because of the high winds that are expected tonight and of course the rainstorm, which we hope go in side by side so that there isn't such a big problem.
Yeah. We want to go ahead and bring in the mayor now.
Absolutely.
Who we really appreciate you taking the time to see us, Mayor Warner. As so many people just learned, you lost your house and your business of decades here in the area. How are you holding up tonight?
Pretty good. It's tough. I mean, a lot of people have lost a lot in Gatlinburg, and I think my message is we're a family up here. We really stick together, bond together. We'll do whatever it takes to help each other and get everybody back on their feet. There is a curfew imposed tonight from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I know people are dying to come back up and see, what the damage is, but there's so many down trees, down telephone poles, electric wires, propane tanks still leaking. I mean, it's very dangerous for people to come up here, and we need to be able to let the professionals, the first responders and our fire and police go in there and do their job. So as soon as we can get this cleaned up, they can come back in.
And Mayor Warner, talk about why this is a slow process.
It's a slow process because there are still pocket fires going on. The wind's going to pick up tonight again, which is the worst thing possible. You just have to be very diligent in searching, making sure everybody is safe and everybody is out. But it's not a fast process. It's a slow process.
Last night was frightening for so many people. Once the power went out in so many areas, it was so dark and all you could see were the fires raging around. How did you deal with staying calm and keeping your city calm at the same time?
It was pretty devastating to see some of those views of the fires, not just smoke, which we've had for several days, but I mean, the mountains were ablaze. It was really scary. And I've got 7 kids and 8 grandkids. I love every one of them dearly, and they all want to make sure that we were okay. And I got them out. I got them, different places with different friends, different homes, and we've had tons of people reach out to say, what can we do? We've got a place for you to stay. Come to our home, whatever. So it's a wonderful community. It's a great county, and everybody is stepping up to do everything they can. I've been in business 31 years. We've got so many past guests. We're in property management, and people have been calling all day. I've got hundreds of texts and phone calls, but I just right now I'm going to just wait maybe another day to try to answer them back and call back.
Right.
It's emotional for everybody. I've got a 12-year-old daughter that I know it's really rough on her because their emotions are different at that age than ours are at our age. So
there's been a huge response, Mayor Warner. We just saw one of the Black Hawk helicopters land behind us. That's what that noise was and such, landing on the baseball field here. Explain what their role is in helping to fight wildfire.
You've got the National Guard here. You've got the big helicopters dumping water. You've got people like the National Guard, that will provide any kind of resource or assistance you need. Everybody stepped up. Our governor, he's a great guy, and he came over here today just to let us know you've got the state's support.
and then Congressman Rowe, who's another just wonderful guy. You know, they're going to Washington, and they're going to get whatever we need to help us. So it's a devastating time. It's a very emotional time. But then again, Gatlinburg is about, and Superior County is about people joining together and helping each other.
Mayor, we'll be thinking of you tonight, hoping those winds stay away and praying for safety for you.
And rain.
Yes, and rain. Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it.
Mayor, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, what we had just learned here in the past hour, 3 people have died so far because of this fire. We've got 17 people hurt. We have no firefighters that have received any kind of injuries or such, which is great news. They're still up on the mountain there. And one of the things that they're going to really work on right now that we learned is go in and try to get door to door and see if anybody else is up there in Gatlinburg and may not have been able to get out at the time.
In order to do that, they've got to get the roadways cleared, the trees down, the power lines that we saw all over the area today, so that is going to take some time. But so many people spending their time right now in the shelter, and that is where our own Don Dare spent a large part of the day. Don, I know you were here talking to the thousands of people who have evacuated.
You know, thousands of people work in Gatlinburg. Well, hundreds of people also live there. And one of those residents is Nell Anderson. She's 70 years old. She is disabled, and her daughter was really scared for her last night. Her daughter is from Maryville. She came today to the rescue center, to the Red Cross Center here, to pick up her mother, and we pick up with Patty Anderson. Here's what she told us.
Mom and Dad live in the middle of Gatlinburg, and the fires were all around their house, but their house is still standing.
And what a relief that is.
Yes, they're going to be okay, and I'm going to take my mom home with me until they can go home. And I've got people trying to find me a wheelchair and stuff she can use at my house because we can't go get hers.
And you've worried about her for how many hours now?
Many, many hours. I didn't get a phone call from them because they couldn't get through till about 11 o'clock, 11:30 last night. And then I finally heard my dad's voice. Oh, God, what a blessing.
And your mama's name is what?
Georgia Nell Anderson, and my dad works for Pi Beta Phi.
Mrs. Anderson, can I talk to you for a moment?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right now, but God was with me, so I didn't have nothing to worry about. So our home is still there, oh, they said, and the fire was going around it. See what God can do.
And you were on your knees.
I couldn't get on my knees. I don't have no use of my lower part.
But you were figuratively on your knees.
Yes, I was. I was thanking him all the way up here and hoping that everyone that I'd seen that fire, I was just hoping they would get out and be okay.
And thank goodness that you're okay.
Well, thank you, and you too. And we appreciate everything you help us with. And God bless you for it all.
We're told that a wheelchair is on her way to Nell, and it should be there either by tonight or tomorrow morning. You know, where they were saying in the press conference earlier that wind is the greatest concern, and that's what she had described to us as how that wind just whipped around last night with little warning.
Yeah, we were out here last night, and it was quite frightening. The wind, the sustained winds for such a long period of time, they were damaging.
Yes, and that's the biggest concern tonight, as you said also.
All right, Don, thank you so very much. We appreciate you sharing that story. And we just are getting word into the WATE 6 on Your Side newsroom that Pigeon Forge has now just lifted the mandatory evacuations in their city. Pigeon Forge lifting those mandatory evacuations in their city. Again, their city only. We want to remind everyone and stress there is a curfew in place here in the Gatlinburg area.
Now, that's good news, but again, as we're expecting those strong winds tonight, that is exactly what fueled the fire last night. We were paying attention to that, looking at one of our tower cams, and you could literally, Matt Hinken was pointing out the big embers. You could see it almost looked like comets shooting across the screen there, and those were the embers that were being thrown by the winds. And of course, each giant ember like that started another fire somewhere.
As the night went on and we got closer to the fires, we were finding them on ourselves as well. Just there was so much debris and soot and those glowing embers in the air. It was really quite frightening. You know, we want to go ahead and take a moment and bring in WATE 6 on your side reporter Kelly Rinke, who has been out here as well today. And you know, every corner you turn, Kelly, there is just another story that pulls at your heartstrings right now.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate talking to these people, and me and my photographer were deciding to go through some of these back roads to see if we can find any of those pocket fires that the fire chief was talking about, and we actually found one right off of Highway 321, right down the road from where we are standing right now, and not any residences there in that particular area, but businesses as well. We have to remember there are a lot of business owners that are very nervous. We were seeing that wind gust starting to pick up, and so that pocket fire was growing. And I was talking to these two gentlemen that actually work at a bank in this area, and it's very concerning for them because the roads are blocked, so they can't go and check on their businesses to see how they are doing. And they also have different locations in downtown Gatlinburg, which was one of the areas that was evacuated last night too. So again, people are just hoping that they will be able to go back into these areas hopefully soon. I know we were hearing about that 24-hour possibility, but again, no guarantee. But a lot of people, it seems like a ghost town, but some people walking around these areas trying to see if there's any way for them to be able to check up on businesses that they work at and homes as well.
Yeah, we're hearing story after story like that. You know, so many people saying they didn't even have time, unfortunately, and we started hearing more of these today, to grab their pets. It was that kind of haste to get out of the house. We did see a lot of pets in the shelter, but it just kind of breaks your heart to think of a family leaving a pet behind. Kelly, thank you so much. Be careful out there.
You get a sense of that when you take a look. If you go to my Facebook page, I posted a video up there of how quickly two brothers were escaping the fire here and how fast the fire was growing just around them and what they were running into. If you want to take a look, it is just, it's mesmerizing, and it just really puts yourself in a perspective of what everybody was going through and how fast people did have to leave and how fast that fire was growing.
And we keep hearing that over and over again. You know, more stories coming out from the Pigeon Forge area where there was a shelter set up in place as well. And that's where we find our own Marshall Hughes this afternoon. He has been talking to people in the area. There was at one point only 2 shelters. The one here behind us, this is the Rocky Top Sports World shelter here. And then the other one is in Pigeon Forge at the LeConte Center there. And as the day went on, because the damage in Pigeon Forge not as severe at this point, so they were down to about 100 people there. We are hearing there's still about 1,000 people coming and going, and at some points up to about 2,000 behind us.
More than 2,000 people here stayed here last night, and they're looking to actually extend the hours so that people have a place to stay, since it doesn't look like people are going to get back in until maybe, hoping the best, tomorrow. Let's send things over to Marshall Hughes. Marshall, what are you hearing from people there at the shelter?
Hey Ryan, well obviously a lot of positivity going on at LeConte Center. We have Santa Claus as well as Betty Claus right here, and this is just the positivity that's going on for kids right now that maybe have lost their homes. Santa.
Right.
I know. To talk about this is something that you know is close to your heart.
Yes, it is. We love the kids of this community, and we respond all over East Tennessee to kids that have disasters. It's total volunteers. People donate the toys. We volunteer our time to get them out, and we really enjoy bringing some happiness to the children all over East Tennessee.
Yeah, you have a bag full of toys right here that are about to be handed out to the kids. You know, and for you, I mean, just to see the look on these kids' faces, how do you describe that?
Anybody that does any kind of charity work, they'll always say to you, we get more out of it, we get the blessing. These little children have been through a lot, and any little smiles we can bring just makes us happy.
Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all so much for what y'all are doing. I can't wait to see the kids' reactions here in just a little bit. Obviously, Christmas time, not here yet, but obviously the holiday spirit is in full swing here at the LeConte Center, as so many kids will be staying here tonight.
All right, Marshall, thank you so very much. You know, saying that they're trying to keep the spirits up of the young ones there. Always a good thing.
I think the best thing that people can do if you have kids out there, get them distracted, give them some toys, give them something like that, show them that this is a good time, this is a fun time. Hey, we're kind of camping per se and figure things out as an adult as the day progresses.
You know, as we so often do in situations like this, in traumatic situations, most of the children living in this area, I spoke with some yesterday, staying in this area from North Carolina, you can't shield them from this. They're literally seeing the flames. They're staying in a shelter and wondering why. And if your child begins to ask a lot of questions or you're concerned about their behavior, we hear time and time again, reach out, get some help.
Get some help.
Because this is a difficult time whenever a child goes through a traumatic situation. This is difficult for us adults. Imagine what it's like for the mind of a young child.
Very true. All right, we're going to send things over. We're going to catch up. One of the things that we have been talking about is the fact that the winds are supposed to pick back up again tonight. A complete devastation last night, Matt, when that happened. So are we expecting to see things just as strong as we saw last night? And also, is that rain going to follow quickly behind those winds that come in?
Right. It looks like most of our rain threat is going to be later tonight, probably after midnight. The winds are going to pick up ahead of the system. As Ken's been telling us all day, they'll be coming out of the southwest. They'll increase. There's a high wind warning for the Smokies. We could see winds again over 60 miles an hour. Okay, so we're talking tropical storm strength. Peaks of the mountains way up top could see even some gusts stronger than that. So compared to last night, not quite as strong. I don't expect 80, 85 mile an hour wind gusts like we've heard, but the wind speeds are going to be increasing as we go through the evening. So we could see some strong gusts later tonight and early in tomorrow morning. Now, this anemometer is this machine right here is okay. Well, I tell you what, we're looking at it on the weather computer, wind speeds across the area, and you'll see that they're very light now, which is great. Yes. Feels good out here now. It's very peaceful. The only problem with no wind is it's the fog and the smoke is settling in the valley once again. So we're going to be talking about wind speeds that are light for the next few hours. But as that cold front approaches, the winds increase out of the southwest, and once the front gets closer, the winds increase, and that's the big concern tonight is increasing winds. You know, embers that are down. You know, even if it doesn't look like it's on fire anywhere, you know, coals, embers, those things can reignite with strong winds later tonight.
You know, Matt, one of the things that happened last night that if you weren't up in the early morning hours, a lot of people may not have known about it, but as the rain moved through overnight, then we started seeing mudslides and more trees coming down because the ground is just so fragile right now, so dry that just a little bit of rain was just pushing it onto the roadways. 441 was shut down for a big stretch, and not because of fire this morning, but because of all of the debris and mud.
And that was a big deal last night. This fire actually came out of their chimney tops, but the wind was blowing so hard that it, you know, started these little brush fires. And then, as you mentioned, we've had very little rain. Takes a little bit of water mixed with that, and we had a lot of mudslides, and that's a possibility again tonight. Hopefully not to the extent as last night. So this is how we measure wind, excuse me. This is called an anemometer, and the faster this thing spins, the faster the wind blows, the faster this spins. So what we want to see good parts tonight is it to be like that, okay? When this thing is whirring really fast, that's when we've got the gusty winds, and so the anemometer gives us an idea of what's going up on top of the mountains up there.
And that's supposed to pick up when?
The winds will probably pick up late this evening and then toward midnight and early tomorrow morning. Many areas may not see rain until after midnight and toward tomorrow morning, but the winds will increase ahead of that. Again, highest elevations, strongest winds.
Key to that curfew tonight as well, and
yes,
a good reminder tonight.
There's some good hope in the forecast ahead, though. I mean, we've got some cooler temperatures and much more tranquil patterns setting up, and I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Chief Meteorologist Matt Hinken, thank you very much for filling us in again. We're going to check back in with him later to see how things are coming together.
Yeah, you know, as Matt was saying, because there are not a lot of winds in this area right now, you're beginning to see some of that smoke kind of drift into this little valley area where we are. At one point today, you could not even see that first ridge line from the smoke that had dropped into this area, and hopefully that is not going to be the case as the evening moves on.
Yeah, I think everybody's got their fingers crossed and such. You know, we do want to talk about some of the destruction. I think the number of structure fires we got up to in the press conference was about 150.
Yeah.
I think at least that is what they're projecting right now. Again, they're having a hard time getting into certain places and checking things out.
And I am hearing from several officials that number is likely to grow a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that is just in and around the Gatlinburg area, not even Wares. I think Wares Valley area, they're thinking 70 structures. But again, those are estimates from the forestry officials and everybody involved up here. To talk more about some of those cabin fires is WATE 6 on your side reporter Madison Keevy.
Yes, so those 70 structures that they have possibly projected, we know for sure 2 of them. I know this because I was there today. These are in Wares Valley, and it was pretty shocking. You hear about the numbers and the sizes of these fires, and until you actually visualize what damage looks like, it's really hard to kind of think about unless you're living it. So the roof today of these cabins that I saw, I mean, metal just looked like it was twisted like fabric. You see common household items that have just been burned, a toaster, a washer and dryer. The other thing that I noticed today were the trees of the perimeter of these cabins, black up until where those flames were. So you could see the height of them. I mean, feet above where I was in the canopies of these trees. You could tell where the fire went. And what was even, more shocking is that a structure right next to these cabins that completely burned to the ground went untouched. I spoke to the manager of one of these cabins, and he talked about how shocked he really was.
Really beautiful neighborhood, really well kept, and then you come here and you see it in flames and, cinders. It's just, it takes your breath away. It's not something you want to see happen to anything, here in the park or in the mountains.
Now, residents in that neighborhood and around that area were driving through today and stopped to share some of their stories. One resident told me that last night he lived at the bottom of the hill that the fire was moving up, and from his window in his home, he actually watched the flames burn. He said that he stayed up most of the night, worried that it might jump over the street there, the road, and reach his home. So, even though, those structures were damaged, what Caleb told me today is that the next step is rebuilding not just these houses and these cabins and these structures, but rebuilding the community, and I think they're going to try to do that together. Ryan and Kristen?
Yeah, Madison, thank you very much. Speaking on that note, when I was driving in today, I saw several trucks from KUB coming in, their power company, just to help out down here. I saw a Dandridge fire truck coming in, again, to help out just constantly. I saw a couple of trucks with big stacks of bottled water coming in, heading this direction to help people out.
A little bit beyond where we are now, we are seeing several trucks that are cell phone towers, portable cell phone and data towers, because as you've likely heard over the last 24 to 48 hours, communications has been very difficult. They've been asking people to stay off their phones because that's what emergency personnel are using to communicate. It's been very difficult to get in touch with someone in the area, so they have brought these in. We're seeing an increase as the day goes on of better communication out here, and it's my understanding they're going to continue to bring in more of those throughout the region.
Yeah, and again, with the fact that they talk about the down power poles, the down light poles, the loss of electricity, I mean, those are cell towers as well.
And these things we're talking about literally just out of where we are, and you take a right and maybe go not even 2 miles, and you're going to find power lines down. You're going to find trees down. The story that we shared not too long ago with hot spots and flames literally around where we were, that's a common sight in the area right now, a common and scary sight right now. And they told us, they said, this is something they'll just have to hopefully let burn out, and hopefully that hot spot doesn't grow as the night goes on.
So that's about how it is out here, isn't it?
Scary.
Yeah. All right, Bo, Lori, we're going to send things back to you as we gather new information and find out more about how the operation is going here in and around the Gatlinburg area.
All right, thanks so much to our team out there in the field. Now, we just showed you some of the first scenes from on the ground.
Right.
But we also had one of our brave souls go up in the air today to get a bird's eye view. And he took 2 cameras, a GoPro on the outside of a helicopter and a handheld camera on his shoulder as well.
But just check in right now with meteorologist Ryan Beasley. He was the one that was up in the helicopter today. Ryan, some pretty impressive sights.
Yeah, it really was heartbreaking at that. The video behind me is just a sample